Hello and welcome to episode 65 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm Sikamikanico and I'm joined as usual by Shpeshal Nick.
What's going on?
Who's a lot more exuberant now he's had an hour extra in bed.
I get it. Yeah, I get some more sleep now, so it's much better.
Hello everyone. It's lovely to see you all. 64 currently, which is a nice number to start on for today's stream.
Too bad.
It's been we're sans figments, by the way. He let us know very late yesterday that he wasn't able to join, so it's just me and Nick. But we figured, with the dynamic duo, we could pull this off. A chill time with our Xbox fam, chat about games and stuff. I can see all of our pals sharing prawn cocktail crisps. Something about shrimp, I don't know. But before we get into the news of the week, I suppose, have you been playing any new video games aside from the usual suspects this week?
Unfortunately, no new games because Doom is really, I don't know, it's weird. Like, it's one of those games where you just want to keep going back to it. Like, you just want to sit down and just keep playing it. It's just, I don't know, it's addictive. Like, I remember last year when I saw it getting nominated so much for Game of the Year. I'm like, Doom Eternal? Like, I love Doom 2016, but I probably wouldn't have put it in Game of the Year discussions or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then I saw Doom Eternal getting all these nominations for Game of the Year, and I'm like, really? Doom Eternal? And now I'm playing it, and I can kind of see why.
You're kind of agreeing.
It's really, really good.
I think people get into a zen-like flow playing that game. Like, I've watched some people that are far better at it than I am. And they're just like ethereal and on the wind, It's
good.
It's a cool game. Really good. I've still been plugging away at the Mass Effect trilogy. I'm just
up to 3 yet?
No, I've cleaned up. I think I've done everything bar one last star system on the Galaxy map, but I'm all ready to go. I've got Legion. The Collectors came and, spoiler alert, it's a 10-year-old game. Deal with it. The Collectors came and attacked the Normandy, and everyone, the crew was all nabbed apart from Joker. So we're about to go through, but I'm just doing that last mop up. Everyone's maxed out. I'm looking forward to it because it's hype as hell. But I also played something new today, which was a little Game Pass gem called Carto, which, if you haven't tried, I spent a couple of hours this afternoon with my little boy, who was like, "Dad, can I play some Xbox?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I want you to be quiet." So I set him up, and eventually he was like, "Dad, I can't figure this out." And it's a little puzzle-based game where you've got a map and you can change the squares of the map to unlock new areas, and it's all puzzle-based. And he didn't quite have the know-how to figure that out in a gameplay scenario. But I found myself getting weirdly addicted to it. So it's like, get out of the way, son, it's my turn. But yeah, it was neat. It was neat. So that was about it for me, gaming-wise, this week.
I'm seeing a question. Last Emperor, which mode in Doom you playing? I'm playing 120. Always 120 now. If there's a 120 mode, I will sacrifice any amount of graphic fidelity or special effects or anything to playing 120. 120 is like life-changing.
120 is life, yeah?
It's so good.
Well,
like 30 is painful now. Absolutely painful.
See, I'm kind of jelly because I can play in 120 on this monitor that I'm looking at now, but it isn't 4K and it hasn't really got HDR or anything, and I don't want to. I don't want to sacrifice all of those lovely things. So I'm jealous of your LG CX. It's not fair, and I hate
CX.
Is it a CX?
Well, you can get the CX. Yes, you can get the CXs for a pretty good price these days.
Yeah,
and they're still a great TV.
And as everyone knows who follows me on Twitter or is a part of the XboxEra community or was around last podcast, I am on the hunt for a new TV, and I did find one that I very, very nearly pulled the trigger on. But it was £2,000, which was £1,200 over the budget I wanted. But it did have.
Hold on, $2,000 your money?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Okay,
it was
so like $4,000 my money.
It was an 87 or 86 inch Samsung Nano Cell 4K TV with HDMI 2.1 and VRR and HDR10. All of the boxes were being ticked, right? And it wasn't, if I tried to get the equivalent in an OLED, it would have been 4K my money or 6K my money more likely.
Yeah.
And it was this nano cell was down from $4,000, and I was like hovering, but I didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger because I am a responsible adult. Yeah. There's just more important things right now. So as much as I want it, I can wait. I can wait. It's fine. Yeah,
I will say the Samsung's one thing I've noticed, because I've got the LG CX here and I've got a Samsung Q70 QLED in the lounge, because the Samsung has the better selection of apps, media apps.
Really? I've been on LG for the last 10 years and I love the LG store. Like, they've always had all the apps that I want. It works great. So I've not been...
I've found, at least in Australia, Samsung has the far better selection of apps. And it worked out well because the Xbox app, I think, is exclusive to Samsung, at least initially.
That's a good point.
That's worked out well anyway. But I find the one thing the Samsung beats the LG at is upscaling. Like, the Switch looks remarkably good on the Samsung. Like, when my son plays the Switch on the Samsung, it actually looks great. On the LG, far less so.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I find the upscaling on the Samsungs is better. That's just how my eyes see it, but yeah.
I will have to investigate this further. I mean, at the moment, it's like I've just got too many other priorities, so I'm trying to relax. I can see Rand's in the chat. Hello, Rand. I can see a bunch of our Xbox fam are all in the chat. Rockakori, Scarecrow 121. We're not counting your break in Patreon streak, by the way, Scarecrow. We'll blame it on a system error and we'll continue as if it's never happened. I saw one question from him earlier on before we even got started, which was, which country will have the first XboxEra meetup? Which I love, even the idea of like the community meetups. Like
has to be Australia.
Does it?
To be Australia.
Does it? Because
because COVID's still not completely rife here compared to other countries. We've gotten rid of it.
Well, hey, in the UK, we've just pretended it's all okay, and we're just carrying on anyway.
That's right.
So
I was watching Wimbledon, and no one was wearing a mask.
Man.
I'm like,
no
one had 35,000 cases in a day.
No one in this country cares. Well, they do. They do, but no one in charge seems to care. They care more about the economy getting back on its feet. And I get both arguments. But yeah, it's weird. But hey, while we're on the subject of the UK, first of all, on the meetup front, I'm actually friends with, and I've known Harmonica, who's one of our writers, in IRL for nearly it's got to be nearly 16 or 17 years. Since how long ago was 2004? Something like that. 16 years?
Yeah, 17 years.
So yeah, we all met playing Halo 2. And Harmy and I have been friends for a long time, and we're probably going to meet up in August. So would that count as an XboxEra meetup? I don't know. I think it's more community driven. Maybe. So maybe we can have a couple around the various globe.
When MVG eventually comes down, I'll see if I can get some of the other XboxEra
Aussies
fans to come along as well. Yeah, like the Scarecrow and a few of the others.
Nice.
We'll get everyone to come down.
But on the subject of England, obviously the big news this week is we're in a final, a football final. And I don't watch football really, I don't care. Right? And I'm not patriotic to be like, yeah, England. But we're in a football final for the first time in 55 years. And people are taking it very seriously. I came home.
They would be. In England, they would be.
Oh, yeah.
Nut jobs.
Yes, they are. The English jingoism is rife. I came home yesterday and my wife had just decorated my office. There's an England flag hanging out of my window. I didn't choose to put it there, but it's there. But on the plus side, they are giving people time off of work, like I think my missus's work.
Really?
Yeah, my wife's work, they announced it on Twitter and they shared it out across the team. Yeah, we're closing at 7:45 Sunday before kickoff. And I think they're not opening until a little bit later. The schools, our school, my kid's school, has said if you want to keep your kid off, you have our permission to do so until like 11 a.m. so that all the hanging parents can like crawl to the gates at 10:30 and shoving through. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. Gonna have a little beef brisket and some socially bubbled friends round. So yeah, it should be fun.
Good luck. I'm torn because like England are renowned chokers, and I don't want Italy to win. So, like, I'm Greek. Greeks and Italians have this rivalry down here. Greeks always want to be better than Italians. Italians think they're better than Greeks. It's this thing down here. So I don't want Italy to win, but like England are like famous for choking. So it's who knows? I don't know.
It's going to be interesting, right? It could be coming home. It might not be, but we'll see. Anyway, that's enough football. We're here to talk about video games, right? And let's get probably the biggest news story out of the week. And that is...
Except the one that no one cared about at the time when we spoke about it?
Yes.
Like, absolutely no one cared and said anything anywhere?
Yep. I believe it's because you correct me if I'm wrong here, we did a rumour mill 3 months ago?
No, it wasn't that long ago.
Oh, no, 2 months? Something like that.
It was a little bit ago. I can't remember. I actually watched the episode again. I've already forgotten which one it was. But yeah, it was a little bit ago.
But you gave 2 rumours.
It was the one with Thomas Mahler. Thomas Mahler.
So that was like
how long ago was that?
Episode 60, episode 58, I think. So
yeah, it was a
couple of months.
Whatever.
But you gave 2 rumours on that particular episode. The first being that BioShock was potentially money hatted by PlayStation, and that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that got some love. What was the other one that didn't get any love at all and has never been reported on before?
About Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so that came out, didn't it?
Yeah. So...
I mean, look, it's funny. So Jason Schreier posted about it, saying, "Oh, AC's going live service," and then I jumped in. I thought rather respectfully under his Twitter post and said, "Oh, look, you mentioned that it's never been reported on before. Technically, that's not true. Technically," and then I linked our podcast.
Yeah.
In the tweet where I talked about it, and it was mentioned on Reddit and this, that, the other, and then I ended up in a DM with Jason, and he's saying that what I said in that video has nothing to do with what he was saying. I understand why. I mean, I didn't get the full details of what AC Infinity is. But I said to him, look, I'm no journalist. I don't have the same contacts you have. I don't do in-deep reporting. I said I had 3 different sources sending me random Discord DMs, all with sort of differing info that I've tried my best to piece together, which I said on the episode as well.
Yeah, fair.
Because, one of the sources was like, kind of Genshin Impact type of thing, and blah 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 blah. Then another one was like, there's going to be like a multiplayer focus, and there might be raids, and there might be this, and then another one said something else. It was me just trying to sort of put all that stuff together, and it came out as, it might be multiplayer and possibly free to play, and this, that, the other.
I think you fair dinkum. Ugh, glad I could get that in there. Right, you were describing what when I listened to you speak, I took that as, okay, they're making Assassin's Creed into a live service online type of game.
It's an online, like...
So,
anyway.
It feels a little bit splitting hairs of Jason to say that they're not the same thing.
There is a little bit of semantics. Like, he's arguing semantics there. I mean, I thought I was... And the funny thing is, like, I made a post on Reddit. So Reddit posted about it, and then I posted in there going, Schreier claims, tell him he's late. And he read that post.
Oh.
He actually read that post, and he took it in a very, I think, disrespectful way, not realising how Aussies talk. And I said that to him. I said, mate, that's just Aussie byplay. That's hard tone to gauge in text.
Yeah.
If you know the way Aussies speak, that's not an attack. That's not giving you crap. That's just sort of, tell him he's late. It's like a smart-assy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In a British way, it was what I would describe as your tongue was firmly in cheek, as you said that. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Tell him he's late.
Right.
You know, like.
Tell him he's late. Like, that's right. But, you know, you can't win them all. In the same week that I was right about the Assassin's Creed thing, I was also wrong about God of War being at Sony's show.
Yep.
It was not there.
It was
that
not
was
there.
The Sony Xbox show in the end.
Well, I do want to talk about that, but before we do, you know, Jason's report on Assassin's Creed Infinity. What is it with developers thinking, we need a word that means forever, and they just Odyssey, Infinity. It's just, come on, guys, quit it with the marketing bylines. It's really painful. But do you have any interest? I don't know if we discussed this at the time, but it's not really a series that, for me, says, this can be a live service game.
Well, I would almost argue it already was in a way.
Because of all the DLC add-ons.
As far back as, like, Origins or... Like, I keep trying to go back to Origins, and it's just like... I can't be bothered. Like, I think I'm really, truly done with this genre. I didn't grab Ghost of Tsushima. I haven't bought Last of Us. I think I'm just done. Like, I can't be bothered with them anymore. Like, it's too much work.
Yep.
I
think that's the problem, and I've said this many times on this podcast. There are too many games trying to be the only game, and when I read that, we've got a really popular IP that's known to be single player, and they try and take it down that route, I'm like, I'm never going to play you. So it's an odd one. But so I guess the other big piece of news this week was Sony's State of Play with presented by Xbox Game Studios.
Presented by ZeniMax Media and Xbox.
It's such a weird situation. You know, there's a part of me...
It's dumb.
There's a part of me that thinks, like, what I find really dumb is that no one mentions Xbox at all, even though we all know, everybody knows, you know. But there's got to have been a conversation in the background, right, where Phil was like, do you really want to keep this contract? You know, can we just?
If I was Phil, I'd be a prick. I would have just paid and cancelled those contracts flat out and just be done with it. Just be like, nah, they're our games now. Sorry.
We've paid for them instead. We paid more.
They're ours.
Yeah.
They're ours. That's what I would have done. Okay, I'm not going to say that. But yeah, that's that's what I would have done. There's something I know. There's something I know that makes me even more firmly believe that Microsoft should just cancel those contracts.
Wow, I'm very intrigued.
And I don't want to. Again, that's why I hate my time zone. Ever since I started doing this, it has made me hate my time zone so much more, because when I need to send DMs or when I need to do whatever, people are asleep or they're not online or whatever. Like, there's something I'd love to ask one of my sources right now about this cancelling of contract situation.
Yeah.
That I was told, and it would enable me to back up why I believe Microsoft should cancel these contracts. But I don't want to say it because there's a chance I'm not meant to say it.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to say it.
We'd rather not have our wrists slapped.
As to the show, God of War was pulled. Like, it's funny, and everyone who's watching knows me. I'm not one to defend Resetera mods, but I saw a couple of posts from a Resetera mod who was teasing that I think Final Fantasy XVI and Forspoken would be there, which I too heard as well. And that mod got upset because it was obviously pulled, and they're like, I'm never teasing anything again. Welcome to my world.
Was he banned?
I heard about Forspoken and Final Fantasy XVI as well. I was told that they were going to be quite a focus for that show. All I was allowed to mention was God of War and I don't know if Ghost of Vicky was supposed to be at the show. I just got told about that in general. I don't know if it was supposed to be at the show, but I got told God of War was going to be at the show. I got told Final Fantasy XVI and Forspoken, which got pulled. But this is the thing now. Ever since all of this started, all these companies now, because they pre-record the videos, they've also cottoned on and they record them in segments. So they can just chop and change right up until the last minute.
Yeah.
Like, you'll notice in the last year and a half, a lot of these show leaks have been very inaccurate. Yep. Where back in the old days, whenever there was a leak for these shows, they were 100% spot on because it was done live.
Yeah, the stagehand saw the rehearsal.
And you couldn't chop and change anything, so the leaks were 100% accurate all of the time. Where now it's like 50-50, 60-40, 40-60, because a leak gets out and they pull it.
Yeah.
Or like, I said the Switch Pro was going to be on that Thursday, and then all of a sudden they just announced it randomly after E3, just sort of out of nowhere. And it's like, why? Why didn't you just announce it back then and get it out of the way before E3?
It is odd, and I guess that's worth chatting about. I don't think we had it on our notes, right? After all the, and this wasn't just the Switch.
That console that's the biggest scam in history?
Like, I've got a Switch, and I've got a Switch Lite. And when I heard there was a Switch Pro, I was like, okay, my wife has the Switch. My son has the Switch Lite. Maybe the Switch Pro is for Dad. And then it's just the same thing with an OLED. So the battery life will be worse.
It's literally this. I can't.
And they're charging you more money for it.
Again, you all know me. I just give my money to Nintendo. Like, I just give it to them. Like, whatever they release, whatever they do, I'm just like, here you go. Take my money, whatever. And this is gross. This is one of the more gross things Nintendo has ever done. Like, so it's already bad enough that in almost 4.5 years, the Switch price has not dropped.
Nope.
It's the same price it was in March 2017.
Nintendo's evergreen.
That's already bad enough. Okay? Forgetting that, my assumption would be, I just assumed that this OLED Switch would come in at the original price so that they had an excuse to keep the price the same for another 2 years. And the old one would just be phased out at a discount. And this is now the Switch.
Yep.
Nah, man. This thing's $100 more.
Of course it is.
For the same console with... And hold on. OLED's not new technology, especially in that size. OLED screens in tiny sizes have been around. My Vita
has PS Vita has screen.
Phones have had OLED screens for... Like, it's not new expensive technology.
No.
Neither is flash memory. So going from 32, which is nothing, to 64, which is nothing, is not $100. Ethernet ports, which cost cents to put in, are not expensive.
Yeah.
And don't get excited over the kickstand that should have been there in the original model. Like, it is one of the most egregious price gouges I've ever seen Nintendo do. And this is me. Like, I just buy everything Nintendo puts out.
So we can blame you for this and other Nintendo fans like you, right?
It's so gross. It is so gross.
Critopsy in the chat saying OLED consumes less than LCD LED. I did not know that, so I appreciate the
in terms of power.
In terms of power, yeah.
Yeah,
because obviously the black
battery
pixels
life's not better.
Switch off. Oh,
apparently the battery life's not even better on this thing either. Like, it's oh my god, it's $540 here. The Xbox Series S is $500. Like, hello.
Yeah.
I'll just buy that xScreen and plug it into my Series S and make that my Switch.
Just carry that around on the bus with like a portable generator. Well, that was a great segue because I think the xScreen, and if you're not aware of this, the xScreen is effectively an LED screen that you can plug straight into the back of the S, and it folds up like a clam top laptop or clamshell laptop.
To the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
The PS1 had one, the old, you know how Sony had the original PlayStation, and then they did the cutesy PS1.
Yeah.
And they made an official screen for it that attached to the back, and you could take it with you on the go. It's a throwback to that, but for the Series S.
But I think apparently their Kickstarter was funded in something like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, super quick. super quick.
The only reason I would ever see myself or anyone I know picking them up would be for LANs, because
that's what I was about to say.
Back in the day, like boxing up a monitor was a pain in the backside, and I used to have 16-player Halo LANs in my pikey 2-bed flat in Westcliff, and they the idea of having a thing you could just go whoop and put it up, great, there you go, there's one. I haven't had to carry a monitor around, is a dream. But
I think like a mate of mine linked me to it before it sort of got in the news, and he's like, man, this changes LAN nights completely. Like, we all just get an S, we all get an xScreen, and we can just have a LAN night almost wherever we are. Just bang, 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 set them all up, and I reckon it's cool.
Yeah, it's a nifty
really
little
cool
idea. A little super chat here from Hugh. Will Xbox make third-person story play? Now, can I clarify here, Hugh? Are you asking if Microsoft will make third-person single-player games, or are you asking if Microsoft will make third-person story games for PlayStation?
No, I think he's saying, will Microsoft make third-person, over-the-shoulder, slow walk and talk, blah 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 blah. I think they'll make a couple here and there. I don't believe you're going to see. Look, I'm hoping that Microsoft are reading the tea leaves, because we're already seeing Sony now start to pivot towards multiplayer and games as a service games. We've seen all their job listings. We've seen a lot of their new partnerships. We've seen all of that. There may even be an acquisition Sony is looking at that also indicates that's where they're going. It is, after all, acquisition season. #AcquisitionSeason.
It's funny that catchphrase has almost gone a little bit viral thanks to Colt, right? Because he made a follow-up video with... I presume the chat probably saw us appearing on Colt's podcast. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good times.
It was.
But yeah, acquisition season. Good. Let's turn it into a hashtag.
Acquisition. #acquisition season. Make it happen, people. There's a reason for it. I need it to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Microsoft is also seeing how Sony is just slowly pivoting towards... Because I remember back when this talk about Microsoft doing Sony-style games was reaching fever pitch.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what's going to happen? If Microsoft goes and fully pivots into single-player, story-driven blah, blah, blahs, by the time they start to get them out, Sony will have pivoted away from that.
Yeah.
And
they'll be out of
Microsoft's
fashion.
like, hey, look, there's all the third-person single-player games, and everyone's going to be like, we don't care. We don't care. We're like multiplayer games as a service games now, because that's what Sony's doing. Like,
I don't want to believe that gaming audience is that manipulative. I can't even frame the word.
All the Sony fans, as soon as Sony pivots, they will 100% be on board for multiplayer games as a service games. 100%. They will. They will. They'll do it.
Well, not all. The cultists we're talking about here, right?
They like whatever Sony tells them to like. They like whatever Sony tells them to like. It's that simple. It is that simple.
But yeah, so sorry, that was a bit of a tangent from the super chat there. What else have we had this week? Dark Souls 3 got an FPS boost.
Isn't that odd? Is this like, why would you announce just one game being FPS boosted? Why wouldn't you wait for a batch to be done and announce them all?
Well, I figured it's because it leaked.
Yeah, it obviously leaked. The Italian Xbox Instagram account, I want to say.
Something like that. Miles, I saw Miles Dompier posted it on Twitter and said, huge if true, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, they confirmed it a couple of days later. It's an interesting one. So there's got to be a big watch of them.
I think there's more coming. There has to be more coming. There's no way known that it's just randomly out of nowhere Dark Souls 3, and that's the only one. Like, for sure, there'd be more.
Yeah,
for sure.
It cracks me up. You see lots of people screaming about a Bloodborne 60 FPS patch, and hey, if it was on Xbox, it probably could just have the FPS boost switched on, and life would be wonderful. But it isn't.
It could.
It's
Scarecrow 121.
Yep.
Superchat. Hashtag acquisition season. No, it's hashtag organic growth season. Yes. Organic growth. It's all about that organic growth.
All about it.
Yeah.
I've just seen someone else in the chat, and we're going to take this opportunity to give a big shout out here because it gives me a segue onto our next topic as well. So, a couple of things. We've had a new team member join XboxEra recently, and it's an interesting one because we got chatting, and this chap's name is Jordan. He's a fellow Brit, which I'm all for. Yeah. And we got chatting, and we had some back and forth, and I invited him to be a part of the team. What's really interesting about Jordan is that he happens to own an Instagram account with something like 90,000 followers. And as part of him joining the team, that's also been branded as XboxEra. So it's kind of nuts.
We did a hostile takeover of his Instagram account.
It's acquisition season. It feels a bit like that.
That's right.
I was really nervous about doing it because it was like, that's yours, and it still is his, by the way. But he, as part of this team,
he can change it back.
He can if he hates us, he can change it back.
If he hates us or we tell him to piss off, he can always just change that name back.
He can. But what's really great is he did his first review for XboxEra this week, which was Space Jam, a new legacy, the game.
I played that. I played that.
Yeah, you played it.
I did. That's something I forgot to say that I played.
Oh, there you go. See. It's a neat little Game Pass Ultimate perk. I think it comes out for the wider Xbox audience if you do not have Game Pass Ultimate on the 15th of July. It takes like half hour to beat. It's a little Streets of Rage. It is
the Streets of Rage. But I will say, it brilliantly captures the feeling of those older scrolling beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
Including being sans modern touches. And for those that play those side-scrolling beat-em-ups, I think you'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. Like it even has that frustrating. How do you explain it? Like the enemies just seem to get those punches in on you when you don't think they should. Or when
all of the stuff that you swear about when you play those old games.
Like it is. If you hadn't told me that it was a brand new game that was just made,
you would think it was
and
a port.
I played it, I would have thought that it was an old game. I would have, like it was. It's so from that perspective, it's quite well done.
Yeah, and
is that a full exclusive?
It is. And as Jordan rightly points out in his review, look, it's a marketing spiel for a movie.
It is,
right?
Isn't it?
It's
I assume Microsoft paid for that.
Yeah, it's a half out. They did a competition where a fan suggested a game using the Space Jam characters, and the winning entry was a Streets of Rage clone. It is what it is. But it's out there if you want to go and grab it and you're on Game Pass Ultimate. Some easy achievements, presumably, if it only takes you half an hour. But please do, the community, please do give a warm welcome to Jordan, who's now part of our team. And it's interesting. It has given us a rather large bit of clout with some of the PR teams that maybe just cast their eyes over XboxEra and said, you're not big enough for us to talk to yet. Now with his assistance, there's a little bit more awesomeness to go alongside it, which is great.
Did you see the controllers as
well?
Yes,
yeah.
They did the Space Jam controllers. Did you also see that Rand was sent?
Wow.
3 of those. He was sent a Space Jam package.
Lucky
What
Rand.
a dog. With 3 controllers, a toy, a LeBron James Space Jam toy, and all this.
He's living the dream, isn't he?
Rand craps on Xbox too. Why did he get controllers? Send me controllers.
Well,
I'm not the only one that craps on Xbox.
I tell you what, and I'm going to get. This is real talk, right? I get it's a marketing stunt for a movie. I get that. Is it Warner Brothers? It is Warner Brothers. Have paid Microsoft, or probably have some. There's money that's changed hands to produce pads and do that as part of that deal and make the game.
Yeah.
But I find it frustrating, especially for folks in the LGBTQ community, that they did these really cool Pride pads that looked genuinely cool
that you couldn't buy,
and they just sent them out to people in that community, right? Influencers who frankly don't need them, right? And did not make them for sale, and yet you can go buy a Looney Tunes pad for a movie that no one will care about in a month's time because it's probably terrible. I think that's wrong, and I think Microsoft dropped the ball there. And it's just a bit nasty, and I don't mean they've done that deliberately, but when you show off the pads and we heard the uproar from our community. Why can't we buy these pads? We reached out to Microsoft. I think Rand reached out to Microsoft. Hey, we're hearing from the community they want to buy these, and I do hope they rectify that in the future. But then to follow it up a month later with we're sending out not one pad but 3, and people can buy them, and it's just for a movie.
Yeah, no,
it's not cool. Not cool, Microsoft.
Let's call it an oversight.
Yeah, it's
a bit of an oversight.
Whoops.
Even if they only sold the controller for a limited time and say, look, we can't make a lot of these. We can only do a run of, I don't know, a month's worth or whatever. Get in quick and grab them. Like, it didn't have to be a permanent thing. Yeah. At least just give people the opportunity to buy them, even if it's only limited.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Limited edition makes it even more popular, and you can probably charge a little bit more. And just, yeah, it's a bit silly.
Yeah, it's frustrating, right? But there you go. So that's my take on it. I know not everyone will perhaps agree, but there you go.
And yes, Peter 420, Jordan is better than LeBron. Jordan is 100% better than LeBron.
Are we still talking about our Jordan now, right? Like, no, you're talking about Michael.
Michael Jordan.
I know. But yeah, I had fun putting the video review together for that. Although the worst thing imaginable, I got a comment in our YouTube comments that said, "You missed a trick, not ending it with da 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 da." That's all, folks, and I really did. Never mind, I've let everyone down by not doing that. Such is life.
Yep.
But yeah, so please, as I said, community, give Jordan a warm welcome. He's here to stay, and we're going to be doing crazy things. And while we're on the subject of XboxEra, we've got a really insane month. Like, we're looking at our review calendar, and it's bonkers, and everyone's freaking out and getting to see some cool stuff. I think even you, and I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm just going to tease because we can tease. We're not breaking anything.
Yeah.
But you get to see something cool this month, right?
Yeah,
that you've been looking forward to. So, it's
I've got to reply to the email, and I've got to book in the day, and I've got to decide if I'm going to call in sick that day. I think I will. I think I'll just call in sick.
Just write the day off for XboxEra. Someone's going to find this video and be like, "You're in trouble." But yeah. So moving on to other Microsoft Store things that aren't Space Jam related. Another interesting thing this week was that the Microsoft Store popped up with a dedicated section for Latin American games.
Wasn't it inspired by someone as well?
I think it was from an Xbox employee, if memory serves.
Yeah, I saw a post on Twitter about it.
Yes, it was from a chap named Daniel, I believe. I'm trying to find his tweet, which I can't because I'm a terrible person. But he retweeted our article anyway. But it's really cool. So if you literally just search Latin American on the store, you'll get a huge swath of games from that region. To you to go and try out and play. And I hope they do more stuff like this, like regional choices from creators around the world. I think that's a really, really cool ability to then you can, dip your toes in, maybe we'll get an Australian section and we'll get a British section of all these different games from indie developers. But it was a neat little addition, I thought. And while we're on the subject...
It's really good when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And also while we're talking about the Microsoft Store, Bethesda Games got a permanent price drop, which is cool. If you buy your games anymore, I don't know. Every Game Pass subscriber's like,
I do.
I know. Yeah, I don't buy games anymore really, thanks to Game Pass. But if you do, they're now cheaper.
That's the thing. That's the beauty of it. You buy them when they're on sale and then get the Game Pass discount on top of it.
Yeah.
So if you like owning your games, having Game Pass is the best of both worlds, despite what some people will have you believe.
Yeah. Game Pass is taking away my choice. Is it though? Is it though? I love that. I love that in that film.
I know. It's a great gift. It's so good. It's so good. Chris Hemsworth's so good.
Yeah, he's a funny lad. So I mean, I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that's happened this week.
I don't know. When I was putting together the notes, I was like scouring for news. I'm like, I don't think there was a hell of a lot of news. I mean, look, there was. While we're in the process of trying to make #AcquisitionSeason a thing.
Oh yes.
Jez on Xbox 2 apparently was saying that he had documents that showed Discovery is interested in selling Netherrealm and Traveller's Tales. And then Clobberl on our forum confirmed he's heard similar.
Isn't that interesting, Nick?
Yeah. It's annoying when you get told stuff and you get told not to say anything for whatever reason, and then someone else just up and is like,
"Oh, it's this."
Yep, this is this, and you're just like,
"Yeah."
Like I DM'd my guy. I'm like, I really wish you had let me say something. like I get why you didn't. But I wish you had let me say something.
Yeah.
But
I will say, you know what it is. As soon as you've said that, people go, "Yeah, of course he's going to say that." You know, like,
yeah, I know he's going to jump on the bandwagon. Blah, blah, blah.
But you know, like we'd already, like, Nick and I speak off air. You know, I don't say anything because I have no interest in playing the Insider game, and I think I recall those names being discussed quite some time ago. So, yeah,
we've talked about. I mean, was it Jeff Grubb that mentioned Netherrealm as well, like a little while back?
Yeah, it's been.
We had spoken about it just after E3. We said there was all those names that were being bandied around about acquisition, and one of them was Netherrealm, and there was IO, Avalanche. All the name Netherrealm has been there for some time now in terms of the acquisition rumors. So probably a fair bit of smoke there.
Yeah.
To assume there's no fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jez has those documents. I think when we were talking about it last week, and we said, who do you think, could be acquired or will be acquired or blah, blah, blah. And I said, I think my guess was Netherrealm. Partially for that reason. I still think I still believe they'll probably get Netherrealm. I still think. I believe Travelers should be the priority because Travelers Tales fills a far bigger hole in their portfolio and meets a desperate need that they have.
Yeah. And it ticks the family-friendly box that Phil has been looking to clear out and make happen for some time now, right?
And everyone's like, what about the Lego games? They don't need the Lego games. Like, I doubt the Lego games would come with Travelers.
No.
The point of having Travelers is that they have a studio that can make high-quality kids games. Like, Microsoft's got enough IP of their own. They've got Banjo, they've got Cameo, they've got Conker, which isn't as kiddie anymore. They've got Blinks, they've got Jet Force Gemini, and you know what? They may not be able to make Lego games under Microsoft, but why not Minecraft them up instead of Lego them up? So have Minecraft Halo game, have Minecraft whatever game. Like, let them do it that way instead of Lego. Yeah. Minecraft is digital Lego. That's what it is.
Yeah, you got to wonder if if Traveller's Tales becomes, an Xbox Game Studios, would it just become the Mega Bloks games anyway? Because they obviously have a partnership with same thing, right?
They could, well, why not? They could do an exclusive deal for Mega Bloks games. God. Why not?
Yeah, but who?
And they'd have the original developer of the Lego ones. Like, it would be a smart play. Totally a smart play.
I don't know. Legos
bring back that Halo Mega Bloks game.
Mega Bloks is not really a thing in the UK. It's got to be said,
isn't it?
No.
Oh no.
Lego reigns supreme, right? Lego is king.
Oh, Lego's clearly the market leader, whatever you want to call it. But Mega Bloks are still a thing. But yeah, I think Travelers personally should be the priority.
Yeah, MDHX in the chat. Lego Sea of Thieves, sir, you have my attention. They already have a pirate.
My curiosity. You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
Pretty much. But yeah, that's not the only rumor though, right? That's not the only rumor, and I'm not talking rumor mill here, but that's not the only rumor. Traveller's Tales and Netherrealm. I read today, and please keep me honest here, chat and you, Nick, that apparently Microsoft are not acquiring. That's not the word used, but investing heavily in a Japanese studio that they don't own, because the only one they own is Ghostwire Tokyo. That's not the name of the developer, John.
Tango.
Thank you, Tango Gameworks. So, yeah, correct. Am I wrong in thinking that? I'm sure I read that on the interwebs today.
You probably did, but I didn't hear anything.
I think Idle Sloth tweeted it. Bless him.
Oh, hold on. I think Grub said it today. And I think Grub spoke about Netherrealm and Travelers as well.
Oh, there you go. Grub today and Miles' podcast.
There's too much smoke. Again, we've said this before. Everyone has to understand. Microsoft is probably talking to so many studios and probably publishers, and a lot of them fall through. And they fall through for different reasons. I will cross one reason off the list: money. I don't think money's ever an issue with Microsoft and potential acquisitions. They fall through for other random weird reasons: licensing, different contract issues. Yep. Maybe there's a person at the head of the studio or publisher that is a bit of a wanker that they don't want around. Maybe.
Yeah. There's all sorts of reasons.
There's all sorts of reasons an acquisition could fall through, and could fall through at the last second as well.
Yeah.
But Microsoft's always looking and talking to a lot of them.
This is just the new state of play now.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, really. We're going to have one bad mother on, who's one of our XboxEra team. And if you, when you finish watching us, do go back out and check Game On Daily, because he was just on Game On Daily's podcast or live show, for want of a better phrase. And he is far more articulate and savvy with the inner workings of the why Microsoft do what they do. And he probably could word it much better than you or I, to be honest. So we'll have to have him on next week, and he can chat a little bit more waxing lyrical about where the industry is going. But as per his article, right, a lot of people look at acquisition as this monopolization, fear, that it's going to limit choice and all of this stuff. And he's arguing the opposite, right? If you've got a growing industry like gaming that is growing exponentially, with studios being formed constantly all the time, tools getting better to enable better games, acquisition is a good thing. It's a part of the growth of the industry, because it's becoming more and more viable to be in the space. Right. And yeah, Microsoft, they were quite open with it. And I think Phil appeared on Podcast Unlocked. And it's interesting, when I see Phil doing the podcast rounds, one, I get jealous that he's not on our show. And then secondly,
he's about to be on Kind of Funny.
He's about to be on Kind of Funny on Tuesday. Now, I know that last week I was like, I just feel something in my gut. I was like, something's going down. I still think that. Too. Yeah, you did. Yeah, and I still think that.
I said it'll probably be this week or next week because of the July 4 holiday. They probably won't announce anything in the July 4 holiday week. probably more likely the week after if there's anything, which is this week coming up.
Could we be looking at a Megaton Monday? I don't know. I would love it. It would be it would certainly make my Monday. Especially if England win as well tomorrow. That would be a pretty great start to the week. But what he said in the IGN podcast was around acquisitions. I think Ryan McCaffrey hit him with a question around how they go about doing it, and when do they decide to tell people, and how does it feel, and And Phil made one comment where he said, Microsoft is a publicly traded company, so if we do something like that, we have to by law tell people pretty bloody quickly, because affects shareholder price, all of that stuff. I don't know. I just I see all these little hints that the smoke is definitely billowing. Right. Across the industry,
it is #acquisition season. Like
it's that
end of financial year, start of financial year crossover. Like Sony's just announced 2 and might have a few more. Like this is that time of year. Speaking of being on shows, I saw Boom just jumped into the chat. I haven't told you yet. I may have organised for Boom to be on our next live episode.
Okay, cool. Be happy.
Which is
pleasure.
In 2 weeks' time. Yeah. I may have organised that.
Awesome.
Just like yesterday.
Well, to be fair, that time zone, you've only just got up, right? So
yeah.
I can forgive you.
It's almost 9 a.m. here. So yes. So, because I watched Boom's show, good show, very, it's all very positive stuff.
Yeah. I've got time for positivity.
Probably more positive than most, especially us. But and he mentioned us because One Bad Mother was in the chat as well.
Yeah, he picked one of our articles.
Like I was working, my 2 work monitors are right here in front of me, and I keep this Surface just here to the side. And I was sort of looking there and then working and then looking, and then I heard us. I heard us mentioned and me as well. And I thought, oh, that's a really nice thing to say. And he talked about, look, he's like, because Boom has reached out to me before, like in the past, and said, do you want to be on our show? And I said, oh, what? Yeah, sure. But what time do you do your show and stuff? And as I found out watching it, it's on literally during a work day while I'm working, and it's like
it's really hard.
It's too risky. It's too risky to turn my Teams to do not disturb and hope that not a lot of work comes in for 2 hours, and because I don't want to be on a podcast where I'm literally working and not looking and not really engaging, and so it's I said, it's just weird timing. I can't really I was on Colts, and that was sheer luck because I happened to take
that week off.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off. I just happened to take those days off, so I wasn't working, so I could jump on Colts.
And I was a glutton for punishment because it was 1 a.m. start.
That was just sheer luck. Normally, that's not the case. Normally, I'm working. So then Boom said on his show, maybe I'll have to appear on theirs. So I was like, okay. So I sent him a DM and said, yeah, sure, come on out. So he said, yep, we'll do it for the 24th, which is the 24th UK and US, but that would be the 25th for me, the Sunday.
Sounds like a plan.
So,
do you know what?
We'll have Boom on in a couple of weeks.
Do you know what I've realised as well? I know that you've got the record right now for never missing an XboxEra podcast.
Correct.
I'm just thinking while we're on the subject of dates and stuff, and I will get onto some of the chat in a second. 28th of August, I'm having because all the restrictions are lifted, we're having the our group of friends from the Halo days barbecue at my house, and that's on a Saturday. Okay. I'm probably not going to be in a podcasting kind of state, so maybe we'll have to get One Bad Mother in to come stand in for me, but we'll figure that out closer to the end of August. In the chat, I just wanted to call out Emil. This isn't a super chat, but it's a valid question. What happened to the episode with Paris? we do want to have Paris on, but Microsoft
he'll be on.
Microsoft totally stole him from us. And to be fair,
we said it. We said it on Colt's show. We had Paris locked in. Like,
it's a shame.
I was in DMs with him on Twitter, and he was locked in like a month in advance. And then like something like a week or so before he was meant to be on, he's like, "Sorry, man,
something's come up."
He's like, "I can't say why, but you'll find out soon." And then obviously it was announced that he was doing the Xbox show. So yeah, well, I spoke to him again after that and congratulated him. Said he did really well. But you owe us an episode.
Yeah.
So he said he'll be on. I think we'll have him on probably, he said after E3. So
anytime
that's a very
soon.
broad range.
Yeah.
It's like a 6-month window. So we'll try and get him on, hopefully maybe in August. Also trying to get Chris McEntee back on.
Yeah, Chris was great fun.
I've spoken to him from Moon, who was really good last time he was on. He was.
Sorry.
What?
I've been pestering Destin from IGN.
Destin from IGN.
He just keeps saying, just keep pinging me until I say yes. So we've had some back and forth. I will go and annoy him again because the IGN crew. I think Destin is particularly knowledgeable. He's usually very level-headed with his takes, and I'd love to get him in with this podcast.
I feel like he's the last Xbox fan left there.
I think he's one of the ones that has his head screwed on and actually is paying attention.
Good old hot takes McCaffrey. He's
he does have some hot takes. Does Ryan? Bless him.
I think he's been hanging around too many.
The rest of the team.
Sony fans.
Yeah.
VK Andrew, super chat. If Netherrealm and Traveller's Tales games are indeed for sale, it would be a massive gut punch if Microsoft doesn't grab them. Great studios like that don't hit the sale block often. Yeah, it probably would be. But both of them, you could argue, feel a very important need. Like Microsoft right now is on the verge, if they haven't already, they're on the verge of completely losing any kind of relevance that they had in the fighting game.
Very true.
Genre, in the fighting game sphere, thanks to that one Street Fighter money hat. And this is why we say to people, sales aren't the only metric of success. It's been a problem for Microsoft for years, where if a game doesn't sell 11 billion copies on day one, like Halo CE did, then they don't give it a second chance. They don't do anything. Sony effectively sacrificed the sales of Street Fighter V in order to become the only platform for fighting games. That's thinking bigger picture, which is how you need to be. That is why it was a crazy thing for Microsoft to allow to happen.
Yeah.
So NetherRealm is super, super, super important from that perspective, because if they were to acquire NetherRealm, Mortal Kombat would come with them. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're potentially completely turning the fighting game genre on its head.
Well,
because you now own the biggest fighting game in the world in Mortal Kombat.
It is the most mainstream, commercially popular, right?
Correct.
It's probably
in the fighting game community. It's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not considered the hardcore fighting game fans' favorite, right? A lot of people say it's a bit clunky,
but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter in the eyes of the general consumer. And plus, I also think, for sure the IP's got to come with it if they buy NetherRealm. But not only that, as you've said many times before, that it isn't dead. It would allow them to have a developer who I think could do a good job, because they'd have, if they made Killer Instinct but it played like Mortal Kombat, it would fail. But if they paid attention to what Killer Instinct is, and then they could hot swap one year Killer Instinct, 1 year, whatever they want to do.
Like, all right, let's start talking dream scenarios, because we're here now.
Yeah.
So if they were to buy NetherRealm, and I'm now Phil, I'm putting on my Phil hat, be a bit of a prick, I would 100% be staffing up NetherRealm like crazy. I'd be making phone calls to Double Helix, phone calls to Iron Galaxy. I'd be saying, hey, I remember when, Adam Icegreen said that you really, really loved working on Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
We're staffing up Netherrealm to have a Killer Instinct team.
Yeah.
Want a job?
Why not?
I would 100% be doing that within Netherrealm. I would be creating
that
a Killer Instinct team within Netherrealm. So to make sure that we get... It has to feel like KI. It cannot feel like Mortal Kombat. It would not be the same game. And that team needs to play Killer Instinct for like 1,000 hours to make sure they know exactly what it is they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And just give us Killer Instinct again, but the visual improvements that would come with being on that Mortal Kombat engine or whatever it is.
And maybe some more of the Killer Instinct, the old school Killer Instinct style violence, because while KI was great, it replaced a lot of what I would consider the gory aspects of the original KI with sparks and stuff.
But those particle effects are great.
Oh, they were wicked. 2013, I was like, ooh, pretty.
Yeah, as soon as Jago's fireball would hit, and then you'd see the sparks go, whoosh, and it was like, oh, that looks so good.
Yeah, it was a very.
I love the fancy stuff. So good.
I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying all sorts of fun things like get Phil Spencer, get Gabe on from Valve.
We have tried. We've been open about that. We've tried to get Phil on. Yeah. We're not big enough yet.
Yeah, the nutshell is we'll have to get to a certain point.
Spam him on Twitter. Like let him know. Like maybe if enough of you are like, Phil, be on this podcast, but I don't know. Maybe he'll go back to PR and twist their arm to allow it. I don't know.
I'll tell you why. A couple of thoughts on it. Right, is one, we get at that question a lot. I think possibly because if you were to just stumble upon our channel and not see our subscriber number, we look a lot bigger than we are. Right, I think that's. I'm not trying to be big-headed when I say that, but thanks to the stellar work.
That's because of pre-drag.
Because of pre-drag, we look like a huge outfit from a branding perspective, etc. And we're not, right? We are all a bunch of super dedicated, hardcore video game nerds trying to do something cool, trying to do something community-driven, and trying to do it the right way, right? So when I see people saying, yeah, get Phil on, I'm like, I would love to help and do that. And Phil and I have spoken. We've had some back and forth. We've shared some emails. We've shared some Discord chats. Nick has as well. But the general mantra is, look, unless there's something really special going on with us, it could be our 100th episode or our 1000th, He didn't appear on, Paris's outfit, Gamertag Radio with Danny Penner and Paris until they hit episode 1000. That's a big moment. Of course he's going to come on.
Had he been on before that? I thought maybe he had been on before that.
I don't know off the top of my head. I remember that one and I call that out because
either way,
it was an example
it was a long
specifically
time before he was on.
Yeah, it was an example specifically given to me from Xbox PR in that, like, hey, there needs to be a big moment. Either that or we need to be much, much bigger. So, you want Phil to come on and get some real questions from the community that perhaps aren't as sanitized and approved as a main media outfit. Tell your friends to subscribe and help us get there.
That's the other problem. We have no idea, like, yeah.
I just saw that super chat. It cracked me up. Abbott, $5. This is for the.
And there's
Phil
one
fund.
Immediately after it. PlayStation Slave 3.0. Nick, where Xbox acquisitions? Fake insider liar.
Oh, deep breath, PlayStation Slave. You're gonna have a hard time soon,
mate. Hey, mate. Sony took all the acquisitions. They came in from under me and they took all of them. They got tech support studios. They got a second-party studio that they were already working with. They got another probably second-party studio that they were already working with.
I don't want to correct you live on air, mate, but they weren't acquisitions. That was organic growth.
Oh, sorry. They organically grew Housemarque, and they organically grew Nixes.
Come on, we're getting into silly.
Sony took them all.
We're getting into silly fanboy territory now. We shouldn't respond. Don't feed the trolls. You know this. But yeah, so look, that's the nutshell on why we can't always get everybody huge on that we want. And plus, more to the point, they're real busy. All right, they're doing stuff. There's usually a sequence.
One as well. More money for the Phil Fund.
We'll make it happen.
Spam him on Twitter. Yeah. Spam him on Twitter.
We would love to make it happen, and it's our promise that when we do, we're going to make a big song and dance about it, right?
But that's what I wanted to say before the PlayStation Slave 3.0 interrupted us. I do wonder how that will work, because clearly there are questions you cannot ask.
Yeah.
Clearly there are questions you cannot ask.
Yeah, for sure. I know how it would work. It would be edited.
I worry that if we were lucky enough to get him on, and we'd get flooded with community, I predict that maybe our Patreon count might spike for a week.
Just a little while, just for that month.
In people wanting community questions, I just have a sneaking suspicion there might be a bit of a spike. And I fear that we're not going to be able to ask a lot of those questions, and I worry that people are going to be like, why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be weird to see how that would work.
Yeah. And from experience, right, I'll tell you what will happen is that, it wouldn't be live. It would be pre-recorded. And much like you saw on the IGN show where certain bits got edited out, there would be a...
Did they?
Yeah. You saw some fades.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah. There were some fades here and there. Not many, but...
Okay.
One, there would be a degree of that, and two, it would be like, okay, here it is. We'll send it to Xbox PR, and they would approve it before it would go out. It's the nature of the beast, guys. It's just how it is.
I think again, should we be lucky enough to get him on, I think we will have to plan that well in advance and totally change how we do everything and. Maybe get the community questions like a week in advance and give like a cutoff time.
Yep.
Send those community questions to them for approval. A whole bunch. I reckon.
Yeah.
Gonna have to be a lot of stuff.
It would be bloody good fun, though. It would be bloody good fun.
Yeah, it would be. Again, if we were lucky enough to get him on.
Yeah. And speaking of our Patreon, it would be wrong of me not to take this opportunity to plug it like the big PR man that I am. We're on a target at the moment to get up to 100 patrons, mostly because we're doing some secret things behind the scenes that I'm not going to talk about until I can talk about them. But I did see the early version of these things, and I'm really excited, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do cool stuff in maybe a month or so, maybe a little bit more. A lot of work. But the team are smashing it at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got a crazy month ahead. And then I think about the next 5 months and I'm like, oh God, there's so many embargoes. Embargoes are scary, right? Because you got to think everybody in this team is working. They've got lives, they've got families. This isn't our full-time job, but we do our very, very best to keep up with those big boys where it is their full-time job. And we've got to try and somehow magically hit all these tick lists. And we're not the kind of team that plays 3 hours of a big game and writes a review. We like to complete it. So there's a lot of no lifing going on to get the job done in some scenarios. So mad props to everyone behind the scenes that is working on that stuff, because it's a lot of work. So give them your love. But if you want to support us on Patreon, you can just head to www.patreon.com/XboxEra. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, depending on your territory, or £1, or Australian dollar, whatever you fancy, or you can go a little bit higher and you can get some cool stuff in return, like stickers and t-shirts and other such fun things. On that note, before we dive into what I presume is going to be our general Patreon shout out, which I will do in a moment, I do have the distinct pleasure, and I actually forgot, apologies if I seemed distracted about 20 minutes ago, I've got my Excel spreadsheet with my little formula in it that picks some cells at random. I've got the pleasure to announce our 4 winners of a digital copy of It Takes Two, courtesy of EA Originals. which is again brought to the fore by our new partnership with Jordan and the Instagram account. So EA were really, really cool. They gave us 5 copies, which is awesome.
Oh, wow.
We gave one to one of our colleagues. Which is
effectively 10 copies.
Correct, right? You know, I'm going to announce 4 winners, but really there's going to be 8 because with the Friends Pass you can play the game. So right. Without further ado, and I will hit these people up on DM as soon as this show has finished, and I'll send out the appropriate messages. I'm pleased to say the winners this week, according to my random tool selector, are at WattyF355, at Bearded Chris P, at WCG_IFreddy29, and last but not least, God, how do I say this? At Sir Khalid. There you go. You guys have all just won a copy of It Takes Two, courtesy of EA Original. So big thanks to them for supplying us with some codes. We're going to be doing some giveaways a lot more often. So that will be fun. And we'll try and think of interesting ways to do them. So if you're not watching this podcast live and, you know, you're not one of these winners, I will send out the details off the show. If you are watching and you didn't win and you did enter that competition, don't worry. We'll be doing more, so stay tuned. That was fun, and I'm glad.
We have a couple of super chats though.
Oh, go on. Let's do them before we do the Patron Shoutout.
Hugh, any hardware news, handheld controller revision? Not that we're aware of. I know Jez mentioned when he was on our show that he has documents, like there are documents that show that they've been in the lab working on a handheld. And he also said that there's always a lot of stuff in the lab, and a lot of it never makes it out of the lab. So yeah. I don't know. I remember there was some rumors or speculation that the Elite 2 was being discontinued. I think it turns out that wasn't the case. They were rebranding the box.
Yeah,
they were just clearing out inventory of the old box.
Correct.
And replacing it with the new box.
Yeah, because the Elite Series 2 is the new pad shape, and it's got the third button. You know, that is in the middle. That is the share button on the standard pad. But yes, they literally just updated the branding with their cool little, you know, green parallelogram.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. And we do know that they're working on not just television apps for xCloud, etc., but they did mention
streaming stick.
They were publicly open about a streaming stick. I expect we'll hear more about that later on in the year, because typically with these things, from memory, Microsoft will do, you know, standard take-home tests. So people internally within Microsoft will grab the stick and they'll go home and they'll do the thing, and they'll have to sign lots of paperwork to be able to take it home, and they'll do some testing. And then you might see third parties outside of Microsoft be invited into some form of test, you know, Xbox MVPs and things like that. So maybe we will hear something towards the end of the year on that. It will certainly be interesting. I think that's going to be a big moment for Microsoft now that everything's on the Series X blades, with the possibility that, you know, I can go to my mate who's a lapsed gamer who used to play him when he was younger. He's got kids now. Hey buddy, you can pick up this. It comes with a pad. You can buy the streaming stick. It's, you know, it's 60 quid or whatever, and you can play a bunch of stuff, and all you need is a subscription like Game Pass, and you're away. That's gonna tick a lot of boxes for people that normally would just never bother with a console, don't want the box in their setup. They can just plug it into the back of their TV and go. Cool. Interesting times. But yeah, nothing aside from that I'm aware
of. Scarecrow 121, artesian growth, organically acquired, cruelty-free, vegan approved, free-range acquisitions.
It brings this image to mind of like studios like clucking around in a field.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, it's funny. You know, PlayStation Slave, I'm happy to cop shit for stuff. I cop it all the time. I've been copping crap about Elden Ring for like a year and a half. But if you're going to give me crap, at least be accurate about the crap you're giving me. Like, I didn't say there was anything this week. If anything, I said it was more likely to be the week after because of the July 4 holiday.
Yeah, it was me that went this week.
Yeah, and no one lied about Starfield, dude. Like, I didn't say Starfield was 21. I said my prediction was that it would be based on the fact that they bought ad time, which they did. They bought ad time, dude. That's what made me think it was 2021.
Yeah.
Turns out it wasn't.
They were just getting
Didn't
their name
lie
out there.
about it. My prediction was wrong. That's not a lie.
Yeah, people need to learn the difference. And they're not only... No, sorry, I just read one of the chats.
Ash Bros?
Yeah, I'm wondering, Ash Bro, are you the Twitter account that is a really long name that begins with an A that literally pinged us on Twitter like an hour and a half ago saying, I want another video like this, please, XboxEra?
The studio video, yeah.
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 But yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. What was I going to say?
I don't know. You were out. You saw that chat.
Yeah. Oh, it is them. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to make. I know I've been responsible for a number of the hype videos for studio acquisitions and the E3 vids and stuff like that, and the Xbox Game Studios tour vid, which was great fun because it was 23 minutes long because they had 23 bloody studios. Yeah, I fully expect before the end of this year, soon, because what season is it? It's acquisition season.
Hashtag acquisition season.
It's going to be bigger. So there's more work for me to do. So I don't want to do another video until I know all of the new studios, if they happen. So yeah, you were giggling at that Violet Femme.
No, I was actually giggling at something in the Discord.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I giggled at that. Everything's a lie until it deals with Sony.
Yeah. Senior Infinite is making me laugh in the Discord.
Cheeky. Okay, so we've got our super chats out of the way. Let's say a big thank you to our wonderful patrons. Croat56, Blast the Bass, Nodorius, Not Jack, Sowing Shade, The Scarecrow 121, reports of his death were greatly exaggerated. Torn Raptor, Crazy Spaz, VK Andrew, Brit, Cerys, Nautian, Gabquist, Hexa, J Repper, K, Kiroi Senko, Cartoon Soldier, Red Sun, Shadowgasm, and Running Riot. You guys are bloody awesome. Thank you for all your support. And we really do want to see this list grow. I know this is just the tier 2s and 3s because that's one of the perks, but we don't mind. If you just want to get ad-free on the XboxEra forums, you can do that via Patreon. £1 a month. Easy peasy. Why not? And without further ado, we've got some community questions to dive into, which is another one of the perks. If you're on the Patreon, you don't have to super chat us. You can write a question every podcast, live or not, and we'll read it out. There'll probably come a time, if our Patreon grows, where we have to really sanity check this, because I think the worst we've had was something like 19 questions, which took an hour and a half to go through.
The problem is, a lot of the decisions we made were made when we were like super small, and we just never, in our heads, we weren't thinking that far down the line.
We were not.
We never assumed we'd grow that much, so we're like, there'll only ever be a handful of questions. Don't worry about it. I don't. We may have to pivot as we go forward. You know where that's from. Tell me you know where that's from.
Of course I know where that's from. Although I'm technically classed as a millennial, apparently, if you're born in 1980, you're a millennial. I don't know if that's true.
No, that's an interesting discussion.
It is. Let's not do it.
I think 80, which is myself, is technically Gen X.
Yeah. See, I want to be on Gen X, man.
And 81 is technically it's a weird one. There's like this fence, and depending on who you talk to, some people it's like no. 80 is Gen X, 81 is millennial.
Yeah.
There was actually someone in the chat earlier that was like pivot after I had said pivot. It's one of the best episodes of Friends. Friends. Because I know there's some people from the Discord watching that give me a lot of crap about loving Friends. Friends is the best sitcom ever made.
Bro.
It is.
I am right there with you.
Friends is the best sitcom ever made.
E4, get home from work when I was younger, it would always be on at around 6:00. I'll eat me dinner while watching Friends. I've seen every single episode.
Like 20, 30 times.
They're always funny to watch. I can just stick them on. They can just be background noise. The only thing I would say, and we're getting into a Friends discussion. That's why I love the live podcast, because it's very chill.
That's fine.
They completely assassinated Ross as a character, and it was the worst part about the latter seasons of Friends is when they just made him a freaking weirdo. Like the greasy hair, the
I
leather pants.
Ross.
He started off as a normal.
He
started off as a normal guy, and he just turned absolutely mental, like the my sandwich and the pivot stuff. Funny.
I liked all that stuff. I liked all that stuff, and the leather pants, and nah. My sister and my best friend. Like, I loved all that. I thought that was great. I thought that was perfectly fine. Friends is the best. What's your favorite episode? Do you have a favorite episode?
Man, this is going off on a tangent. Like, apologies, chat. I know you're here to talk about Xbox, but we're on a Friends tangent now, and we're going to ride this train. My favorite episode of Friends.
I have a favorite.
Okay.
As hard as you would think it would be to pick one, I have a favorite. It's the Brad Pitt one.
Literally, I was about to say the Brad Pitt one's pretty good. I think, though, my absolute favourite is the. I'm trying to remember. You'll have to give me a minute because I need to think of this episode now. So you're going to have to carry it. So maybe do the first communication.
The Brad Pitt episode is, and it's him and Aniston were still together then.
Yeah, it was great.
So you saw the little wry smiles and this, that, the other, and I loved the fact that they made it so that he hates Rachel.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I love. It was so good.
Right, I've got it. The best Friends episode, and you're going to say, okay, yeah, this is a strong contender because I think we're on the same wavelength here. It's the one where they do the quiz for the ownership of the flat.
Oh yeah, of course.
The scream from Monica when he's
that's not even a word.
He's a transponster. Anyway, we're showing our age here, man. We are not
so good. It is so
Friends
good.
has probably been cancelled by now. We didn't know about it.
The way Brad Pitt is like Rachel living in her own little Rachel land, and he like throws back his hair. It's so good. It is so good.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it.
Good stuff.
This is the great stuff.
Right, quick before the chat abandons us. After our Friends. We're sorry, chat. All right, we're old. Get deal with it.
I swear, I have seen every episode like minimum 20, 30 times.
Yeah. Yep.
Like every episode. Like, and if it's on in the background on free-to-air TV, I'll just leave it on and let it play.
So if I see it in my scroll list, I'll always go to it as like a go-to. Yep, this will be fine. I haven't watched the reunion episode though, but I'm just disappointed.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was okay.
I haven't watched it, so I will watch it at some point.
Fans of Friends, I'm sure will like it, but I don't think it'll convert anyone else.
Don Cabesa in the chat. I quit the site.
Yeah.
Right.
So speaking of how you're doing, that episode where he tried to get a twin, Carl, and he just walks into Chandler and Monica's apartment getting food out, and he's like, "How you doing?" And he totally gets it wrong.
Awful.
You know that actor? He auditioned to be Joey, and he didn't get the part, or he had like a scheduling conflict or something like that. He tried to get the part of Joey.
Amazing.
So it was funny how they brought him in to play Joey's twin. I thought that was pretty good.
I have a feeling like I need to stop you talking about Friends now. Like.
I could
let it go, Nick.
Now that I know you like Friends, we should do a Friends podcast. Like, we should 100% do a Friends podcast. I could talk for hours.
We're about 20 years too late, man.
Nah, we have to do a Friends podcast. XboxEra presents a Friends podcast. Something we'll give it a clever name.
Okay. Okay. Anyway,
we'll call it Pivot or something like that. I don't know. Okay. First community question. DirtyFlint. Hello, you beautiful boys. I have a theory I want to go over with you. In Pokemon, it is well known that humans at one point were Pokemon. Is that true?
Judging from our reaction, is that well known?
That is complete and utter news to me.
Yeah.
It is also known that all Pokemon lay eggs.
Also news. Also new information.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
I'm sure some do. Do humans in the Pokemon world lay eggs? Does Nick have a source on this? Game Freak has some hard questions to answer, mate.
We're off on a weird path tonight.
No idea. I would be surprised if the humans lay eggs in Pokemon.
Yeah, I don't think we're built for that.
I'm sure they follow normal human biology. I do not have a source on this. Funnily enough, I do have a source that has told me something, Nintendo.
Are you sure you want to do it after the Switch Pro
debacle?
No,
I'm not doing a rumor mill. I don't do a rumor mill if I haven't got the green light.
Fair enough.
People have to understand, it's all Discord DMs. It's all Discord DMs. I can't just say stuff because I've heard it. Like, the amount of stuff that I'm currently just randomly sitting on because I'm not allowed to say anything would probably freak most people out. Like, just the sheer volume of stuff that I'm sitting on that I'm just literally not allowed to say.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And some of it is going to come out before I get a chance to say anything.
Can I tease something?
No. Not if it's something that I've said.
No. Something.
Ah.
I'm also sitting on something so freaking awesome. But yeah, I'll talk about it soon.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, carry on.
Okay,
wait.
So we don't know. I don't know enough about.
I can't
Pokemon,
answer
sorry.
any of the Pokemon question here, but
Yeah,
I'm going to just go with they should lay eggs because that would be weird.
Interesting.
If it's canon to the universe, sure, let's do that.
Yeah, I played Shield to completion. Pokemon Shield is actually the first Pokemon game I beat. I played Red, I played Yellow, Silver, and then I didn't touch a Pokemon game till Shield. And Shield was the first one I beat. It was good. It's pretty good. Didn't look the best, but it's pretty good.
Fair.
Luckily, I don't care that much about graphics.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a big go.
Now, this is a first. She's not here. Like,
oh, really?
She's not here in the chat to be witnessing her own Cerys question, and I'm sad about this.
Well, she's
not here.
On sleep in the Discord.
This is a moment, boys and girls. We've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah, it's not there.
This is the first time. Anyway, it's a Cerys question. Buckle up.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, panel. Matthew Hazelhurst. She's watching Friends. Hello, panel. Some stories are very, very long. This one isn't. Yeah, right. I once mistakenly knocked out popular children's presenter Keith Chegwin. Okay, I don't know who that is. I assume that's a UK thing.
It's a UK thing.
Yeah. She knocked him out. Wow, okay.
I don't know if that's actually true.
No. When Cerys says I once mistakenly knocked out, probably bumped into him, probably, I don't think literally a smack to the face. I'm going to assume. So here is my question. Imagine, if you will, you are in the past. And in brackets, we've got here sick. Like me, won't have to imagine, since we are old and still live in the past. I'm older.
You are older.
What do you mean sick like you? I'm older.
I think it's because I look old. I have a veneer of eldernishness about me, whereas you've still got that youthful NSYNC looks.
My youthful looks are undeniable.
Yeah.
That's the Mediterranean genes coming through.
Totes.
You are there with the mission. To see if you can weave the strands of time to make something that exists now. Hold on, wait. To see if you can weave the strands of time to make something that exists now have existed then, so that you could return to now and see how the new past has affected current games. Now, if you have watched Marvel Endgame, that's not how time travel works, okay?
Yep.
Avengers Endgame has explained how time travel works, and it doesn't work like Back to the Future 2. Back to the Future 2 is bullshit, apparently.
Come on, it's Cerys' question. Let's pretend it is true.
Okay.
But yeah.
For example, how Minecraft helped kickstart a boom of survival crafting games and countless failed Kickstarters since its release. The time machine, or whatever, which has hurtled you back in time like a panel of Gary Sparrows, also has the power to send with you a device of your choosing with which to show the denizens of that time period a game and, I don't know, a bubble of internet if it's an online game. Which game, genre, franchise, platform would you choose to show so you could return and see how it has affected and infected the new games of the present? And which do you consider has the most likelihood of doing so? This is actually a really good question. If you find that a little too much to consider since you have all addled your minds with computer games and Monster Energy Juice, then let's ask, what's the best cheese for cheese on toast? Or neither or both. Do what you like. It's your podcast. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm really busy today anyway, so go on. Carry on. Don't mind me. Stop staring. Cerys. That's a good question. Because I've always said that if I could go back in time, I would show people of the past Jurassic Park. I've always said I would go back to like
1993 Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I would go back to like the 40s or 50s or whenever the movies first kind of motion pictures first kind of started and say, here's this motion picture from our time, dinosaurs are back, and show them Jurassic Park and just watch them freak out.
Yeah, it would be cool.
In terms of a game, though, so my guess is we'd be taking this game back to when games first started, so like the 70s.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, and we're allowed.
That would be the most logical time to go back to. What game would you take back there to show them? That's an interesting question.
And I believe she made the distinction that if it's an online game, we get to take a working bubble of the internet back with us, and it will magically connect. This is because look, if you went back, like here's the thing: if I took an Oculus Quest back with me in the past to like the 80s or whatever, and I decided to show them Lone Echo, which if you haven't played it,
I haven't,
on VR, you'll need a PC, so you probably have to do it using Oculus Link through your Surface. But it's well worth it.
Could my Surface run it?
Not sure on the specs of the Surface Book. You need a minimum of a GTX 970 to do the original Oculus Quest game. So
this has a 1660 Ti.
Yeah, it should be fine then. Yeah, you'd be able.
I want to say.
Yeah, you'd be fine then. You should be able to run it.
Okay.
Well worth playing. Won't take you long. 4 or 5 hours. Incredible storytelling and a great pickup for Facebook. Ready at Dawn, I think, developed that. Now, if I was to take something as genre shifting, the impact it would have on the game industry's future would be pretty huge. I feel like everyone would pursue, but then with the technology, even in the 80s, even if they started investing in it, they could start having a look at how this stuff was made. I don't know, would that blow some minds? It's almost like the Terminator, where they find the chip and it funds Cyberdyne looking at new types of chip design. This is a deep question that could eat up a good half hour of philosophical debate. But yeah, just to break everything and ruin gaming for everyone, I take an Oculus Quest back with Lone Echo. There you go.
Well, because here's the thing. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Like, what sort of influence are you trying to have on the gaming industry when you take this game back? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different options. Like, are you trying to take a game back there just to purely blow their minds? Are you trying to take a game back there that will hopefully influence the industry in a positive way going forward? Are you, like, it all depends. Like, if you're just purely trying to blow their minds, then you're going to take back whatever the best looking thing is.
Yeah.
I would have a crack at taking back Rocket League.
Turn it into an official sport in the real world by that point.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you think about it, if you take Rocket League back, you're speeding up the progression of esports by,
decades,
20, 30 years. Maybe by now there's a video game Olympics by taking Rocket League back to the 70s. Maybe, who knows? Like, Rocket League is a very, very fun game. Like, maybe that causes the industry to go more towards fun as opposed to hyperrealism, death, gore, porn. Who knows? Maybe take back Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, there's so many. You take back Ori and the Blind Forest or Ori and the Will of the Wisps. and show that to someone, like just in terms of pure visual, like watching a living cartoon.
That's that gives me inspiration. You take back one of those games that looks like a cartoon. Streets of Rage 4, Cuphead. Say, hey, those cartoons, like imagine taking Cuphead back to that 70s. Era. Yeah. Or take it back to that era and say, hey, this cartoon you're watching, well, now you can just control what's happening in the cartoon. That would freak people out.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
I think VR would absolutely blow minds if I was to take an entire Quest back. And interesting, I actually saw a question. It wasn't a super chat, but I do think it's an interesting topic, was about VR, was a VR headset exclusively for the Xbox Series X and S from Ashbro is a great idea, or what? Also, what advantage would this give Xbox over PlayStation in terms of Game Pass and VR combined? I.e., because I think they mentioned earlier, like, imagine letting Oculus Quest link to your Xbox and you can buy.
Yes, that's the move they should make.
Buy games from the Oculus store on your Xbox, and then they would work. And could you then add an Oculus VR add-on to your Game Pass sub? I would love it, but Microsoft have mixed reality, right? And they support a bunch of headsets. I think Phil has been public in saying that VR with wires, VR with, and I know Oculus Quest is wireless, right? But it's also self-contained. It's not having to transmit data. And I know it's possible to transmit data fast enough to not feel like you're going to throw up wirelessly. But it's just gaming is a social activity, and you can make VR social, but the inherent act of removing, if I'm playing games on my sofa and my kids are running around and I can talk to my wife, I'm still able to do that, and I'm still able to do all those things. But VR and headphones on is so isolating that I can see why they don't feel it's worth pursuing. Even me, who loves and has experienced some amazing moments in virtual reality, I just don't ever see it being, certainly in the near term, any part of the Xbox future unless there's a boom, which hasn't happened yet, despite all the people that are saying it is. The Quest is the biggest boom we've got.
I don't think it will. I still don't see VR's future being in games. I still don't see it. I still think VR's future lies in tourism, travel, events, sporting events. Like, imagine right now, imagine if someone had the forethought, no one can really go to the Euro. So imagine if there was a whole bunch of VR cameras set up all around the stadium at the Euro, and there's even money to be made on it. Like, you sell tickets to people to tune in with their Oculus Quest or whatever, and it's like they're at the stadium and they're watching the Euro and they can look around and the people are there, and
they do that now with certain
events. That would
be
so cool, and have virtual tours. Like, okay, I'm scared of flying. Let's say you've got a fear of flying, but you really want to travel to Europe or whatever. And there's a dude that walks around with a VR camera on his head, and you tune into that virtual tour of Greece or wherever, and you can look around. And to me, that's where VR's future lies. To me, I don't know. I don't see it really being much more than it is in gaming. Yeah. Like, and everything feels forced. Like, a game keeps coming along and everyone's like, this is the killer app. This is the game that's going to make VR. And then nothing happens. And then another game comes along. Oh, no, this is the game now. I just don't think it's going to happen. Like, Kinect took off because it was just a camera that plugged into your console and you just stood there and danced a bit, waved your arms around. Everyone had a little bit of fun, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't expensive and it didn't get in your way. It didn't require 73 cables. And so it took off. VR, I mean, look, we have the Oculus Quest 2 and it's made a little bit of a blip on the radar. But I still would argue that VR is far from mainstream.
Yeah.
Despite a really good wireless headset being on the market.
And Facebook have kind of hamstrung it by forcing Facebook logins to it. And if you choose not to have a Facebook account, or if you close it, you lose access to all your games.
I think that's overblown a little bit. Like, the mainstream aren't going to know that. The mainstream will have Facebook accounts and don't care. Like, that's not a big deal. Like, I ended up hooking up my Facebook account. My display name is Shpeshal Nick, so no one knows my real name. Big deal. Like, it's...
Yeah.
And I hardly ever use Facebook. Like, I haven't used Facebook in years. It's...
Same.
I don't think that's the barrier people make it out to be.
No, it's just kind of gross, I think, is the thing. But look...
Oh, no doubt about it. It is. Bloody oath it is.
In terms of killer apps, VR's already had it. Beat Saber was the killer app, and it didn't...
Yeah, Beat Saber is it.
And it didn't change the game.
In the same way Dance Central was for Connect. For me, Dance Central is worth the price of admission for Connect. And I'm sure for most people, Beat Saber is worth the price of admission for VR. Beat Saber's fun. It's the first game I bought on VR. So, yeah, it's good.
Yep.
But that was quite a tangent.
It was. Good tangent. There you go.
Yeah. What about cheese on toast? What cheese?
I actually made cheese on toast for lunch today with Liam Perrins, and I used Cathedral City mature cheddar with a sprinkling of mozzarella, and it was delicious.
I just used Kraft Tasty Slices.
Bro.
I don't care about cheese.
No,
I
mate.
really don't care.
I hate cheese unless it's melted, but you do not use Kraft slices like burger cheese. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Dude.
I like other cheeses, but I don't care enough about cheese.
The ultimate grilled cheese sandwich, if anyone hasn't... I know you're a big movie fan, Nick, so
I love grilled cheese sandwiches.
I'm presuming that you have seen this film. Jon Favreau, chef.
Oh, what a movie.
Such a great movie. Love if people in the chat, if you haven't seen Chef, go and see Chef. It inspired a Netflix series with Jon Favreau, with different people doing cooking. Yeah. But in the film, he cooks his
Those
kid.
Cubanos.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Every time I watch that movie, I just want to jump on Uber Eats and find a place that sells those Cubanos and just have one of them. I love the Turkish bread toasted sandwiches that places do.
Well, on that subject, so a couple of things. So one, he makes his kid a cheese, grilled cheese, and he uses American burger cheese and a couple of others. I've done my own version of that with smoked cheddar and standard mature and some other bits and pieces. If you're on YouTube right now, go check out Binging with Babish. He not only does the grilled cheese sandwich as a bonus episode, I think at some point, he also does the full recipe of the Cubanos. How you do the meat, step by step. Yep. It is glorious. And it's actually one of the recipes we're considering doing for my annual OMG barbecue this year. Except we'd have to cheat because in the UK you can't get proper Cubanos bread. We'd have to just get some Subway rolls and use Italian white Subway. But it would do, right? But yeah, anyway, that's the tangent. But that's my personal choice of cheese.
Zagan, mate. I'm from Melbourne, mate. Like, Melbourne is ridiculously multicultural and probably one of the best cities in the world, restaurant and cafe culture-wise. Literally probably top 3 best in the world. It's funny. Someone tried to give me crap in the Discord once because I said that Melbourne had the best coffee culture in the world, which we do. And he linked me to an old article from 2017 that said the UK is actually the best. Wait. There's a funny, because he rolled himself. So he links me to this story that says the UK actually has the best coffee culture in the world, with Melbourne second. And then when you read the article, it talks about how the UK is number 1 because all these Australians went over there and set up cafes. So it's like, okay, so Melbourne's still number 1 in the world then. Because we all just went to the UK and set up a bunch of cafes there. Turkish bread. And remember, we have a lot of, during the 40s, 50s, 60s, we had a lot of European migrants here. That Greeks, Italians, Turks, all of them. And that culture just filtered through,
permeated.
Fast.
Yeah.
Aussies love our food. Turkish bread and zartas, which I know I've pronounced wrong, but the Lebanese za'atar toasted sandwich things that are super, super nice down here. Turkish bread. Having a toasted sandwich that's Turkish bread with stuff in it. So nice. So nice. We should do a food podcast as well.
Movie podcast, food podcast. I'd never have any spare evenings.
Do a Friends,
Stop.
movie one, a food one. We'll have to cancel the Xbox one.
Yeah. Who watches that anyway?
Other ones.
I'm seeing a couple of amusing chats from Critopsy, XboxEra, what's going on with the rumoured game related to shrimps. If you check out the episode we had with Jez, there's nothing. It's nothing. Jez was trolling Nick with shrimps.
Stop asking about shrimp. Unless it's asking. You're talking about garlic prawns, the dish. Back on food. Garlic prawns are really nice.
Equally, that made me giggle. Ali Thompson XSS is called roasted cheese. But it's not called roasted cheese. What are you on about, you crazy person? Roasted cheese.
Roasted cheese. I've never heard of roasted cheese.
Oh god, the chat is very silly. Oh, Critopsy was trolling. He knows. He's jumping on the bandwagon. You motherfucker.
Okay. Ashbro, question: how far do you live near the neighbour's TV set? I'm not that far from the neighbour's TV set.
Wow.
And MVG Modern Vintage Gamer is originally from near where the neighbour's TV set I think is. Yeah. Jon Favreau, is he doing more Star Wars work? Surely.
Yeah, he's got.
After how good Mandalorian was, surely they're going to let him do more.
Oh my god.
Okay, DeoGame.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, next question, DeoGame. Now, this is interesting because he's tried to do hello panel backwards and misspelled the hello part. So hello backwards would be ole, but he's got here olel. So I think he's misspelled the hello backwards.
Or he's really just screwing it, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Olel, elmpa. It's supposed to be hello panel. Sorry, my mind is all twisted today, and I wanted to hear Nick try and pronounce it. I'm not going to be able to watch this one live, so I'm wishing you the best of luck. That said, on the topic of mind-twisting things, a lot of attention was placed on Deathloop after the latest state of play. Phil Spencer and Xbox encouraging people to watch, even though they may not have a PlayStation. That's because the game's going to come to Game Pass in about a year. Discussions on podcasts about the fate of the game going forward. Discussions about the perceived quality of it compared to Redfall. Needless to say, I don't envy the position of Arkane Lion or Tango Gameworks right now, being arguably unable to share in the Xbox Bethesda hype of their siblings. That being said, what I think shines above all else, regardless of the wars, is that Deathloop looks pretty damn great, but also pretty niche. Yeah, but that's Arkane's thing. I'm not sure as to the commercial prospects of the game, and being a stepchild torn between two platforms never helps. Which leads me to my question. How do you think Microsoft will handle the IPs of Deathloop and Ghostwire? Will they wait before they hit Xbox to greenlight a sequel to see how they perform on Game Pass? Will they put faith in the studios and greenlight one before they get to assess how the Xbox audience responds to the games? If they do super well on PS5 but struggle on PC, do they look to maybe a multi-platform sequel? No.
I don't.
Do they kill the series regardless? Or there's still heaps more. Do they kill the series regardless, or at least heavily suggest a new IP to revisit to Prey, Dishonored, Evil Within, like Sony did to the otherwise successful Days Gone, something else? It's really just a rather odd situation, and to be honest, I kind of wish they bought out the exclusivity and just brought it to Xbox, PC Cloud, and PlayStation all at the same time, but that'd probably cost as much as it would to buy IO, and I won't say no to IO. Funnily enough, in all this isn't the first time Microsoft has inherited a formerly PlayStation timed exclusive IP. The original Hellblade was a PS4 timed exclusive due to the budgetary restrictions. Its sequel, obviously, is a fully fledged and funded Series X exclusive. Well, I talked about this before. Microsoft should have paid the money to cancel those contracts and just take all the trouble out of it. Because that's the thing now. Odds are these games... I mean, I personally think these games probably wouldn't have done that well anyway, because that's not really what the PlayStation install base buys. Now that they know a sequel is not going to happen on their console, now they're really not going to buy it.
Do you know, I've seen a lot of that on forums. And this is where it gets too cultist for me. Whereas if Bethesda hadn't been bought and this game was exclusive, but Bethesda was just carrying on being Bethesda, PlayStation fans would be bigging up Deathloop in droves. And I'm being general, and I know that. Would. But I've now seen this turn suddenly.
Yeah. Ugh. Now Deathloop sucks.
Oh, I've seen it too many times. Ugh, who cares? Ugh. And it's like, man, like it looks like a cracking video game. Like
it does.
It sucks as an Xbox, main that I'm probably not going to bother playing that. I'm certainly not going to blow 70 quid on it to play it on PC.
No.
When I can just wait and it will come to Game Pass in a year. And that sucks. And yeah, I agree. I wish that Microsoft had been like, yeah, sorry, Sony, we know you spent months negotiating this, but you win, you lose. It didn't happen.
But the beauty of it is Arkane doesn't have to care now.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about it being niche.
They don't have to care. Like, the game's going to bum. Okay, that's cool. I'm sure everyone, all 30... Well, by the time it comes to Game Pass, how many subscribers do you think they'll have?
In 35? A year? Oh, man, I think they'll be hitting 40 or more.
35, 40. You know what? At least half of them are going to try it out.
Yeah.
And the game will probably get way more exposure. So I don't think Arkane are that stressed about it. In the end, even if Microsoft had never acquired Bethesda, I doubt the two games would have done much on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I just doubt they would have. Yep. Like, because it's not third person, over the shoulder, slow walk and talk. It's not that kind of game.
It's
immersive, it's not Call of Duty.
Immersive player reaction.
Like their first person fix comes from Call of Duty. And everything else is third person, over the shoulder, narrative driven, slow walk, tall grass. So it probably wouldn't have done much anyway. So if I was Microsoft, if I was Phil, would have been a prick. Just cancel those contracts. Say, bad luck, we own them now. They're ours. Too bad, PlayStation. Because in the end, no one on PlayStation is going to buy these games anyway now. So it's like you may as well have just paid out the contracts and been done with it.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I reckon if the situation were reversed, Sony would 110% have cancelled those contracts. They would have 110% paid to cancel those contracts. 100%.
Yep. I don't think I doubt that for a second, to be honest.
So it's like, just do it. Just do it. Just cancel them. And say, look, these are Bethesda games, and they are ours. Bad luck. You want to play them? Get an Xbox or a PC.
Or an xCloud.
Too bad. So sad. Too bad, so sad.
But yeah. I think the game looks great, though. So
it does, but all their games do. I've jumped back into Death of the Outsider. Very similar. It's funny. I'm playing Death of the Outsider, and then I watch some of the state of play, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of Death of the Outsider in that.
Yeah.
Very similar stuff. Cade Forever, Super Chat. May I tickle your fancy with this theory? I think Xbox is going for a publisher in every region. North America, Bethesda, Europe, Avalanche, Japan, who knows? This will attract talent from everywhere. Yeah, it's a sound theory.
Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if Microsoft were going for a publisher in Japan, in every region. That would not surprise me in the least. I could see that happen.
Yeah. I read this earlier on and then I completely forgot that I read it because I knew we'd have to call it out. I think it's a great theory.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense because they're going for this hub structure. We're already seeing the teams intercommunicate and work together through problems. You know, we know Bethesda is very well known for doing that themselves on their own anyway. Yeah, could that happen? I think it's a pretty sound idea.
Maybe they already tried. Maybe they already tried in, say, Europe, and it fell through. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe they are trying in Japan at the moment.
You're making me want to insert a fry
Don't you
gif.
remember that Bloomberg article that talked about Square?
Yeah.
And then I tweeted. I said Microsoft and Sony are both in the running for Square.
It'd be very interesting to see Square get bought.
I stood by that, despite Square's denial.
Because, you know, if you were to say to me Square Enix is getting bought, I would immediately say, buy PlayStation, right?
Sony.
Yeah, but, like, They already virtually are. Like, you never know with a Square game. Is it coming to Xbox? Who knows? Maybe. It's weird. It's really weird. But yeah.
I mean, the thing is, everyone, and this is what we were alluding to before about the industry, and it's healthier than people realize. Like, if you say European publisher, most people immediately go to Ubisoft, CDPR. Is CDPR considered a publisher? They are, aren't they?
Yeah, no? They own GOG. So I think okay. they have a publishing arm.
But there's smaller publishers too. Like there's one in, I think they're in Europe, Focus Interactive.
Yep.
Like there's smaller publishers too. Like people immediately look at big ones and go Square, Ubisoft, Sega, EA, yada yada yada. There are smaller publishers too. Like, Matt Booty can only handle so many studios on his own. Yeah. Like I think people are forgetting this. Like he's just one man. He's not going to be able to handle so many studios. Oh yeah, Paradox. That's another one. Yeah. He's not going to be able to handle that many studios. So if they keep adding studios, they can't just keep putting all of them under Matt. So maybe they buy a smaller publisher, a really small one, to almost act as another arm. So they've got Xbox Game Studios, they've got Bethesda. Maybe they get another one as a third and start putting the new studios under them. Like, I don't know, I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm just trying to think how big Microsoft have become. I think the call out that Matt Booty can't physically, as one guy. And I appreciate he has a team and everything, but he's still got to, call the shots. Like, having those hubs, and then working with the leaders of those hubs makes sense from an organisational point of view.
Yep.
It's interesting. It's acquisition season. We'll find out. I think we'll find out.
And it's funny you say that because the next question talks about that.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep talking about it. So, Quiet Gamer 90. Hello, everyone. Nick, you mentioned on XNC, Colt's podcast, Mondays at 5 p.m. his time. I don't know. Is he Eastern? I don't know. That it is acquisition season. #acquisition season. But didn't specify for who. Could it be that your source meant that in general terms? If I missed some context or misunderstood that, then ignore this question. No. I've been told about studios. Like, of course I have. But I just said before, I get frustrated because there's stuff I'm not allowed to say. And if a source tells me I can't say something, I'm not going to say it. And sometimes it's going to look like I'm piggybacking. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, and that is why I said a while back, I have a circle of trust. I have people that I sometimes just leave receipts with. So that way, when something comes out and people say, oh, you're just saying it now after the fact. And then someone else goes, no. Nick DM'd me like it was Somnia, who I DM'd about Back 4 Blood.
Yep.
I DM'd him about Back 4 Blood back in March.
Wow.
Saying, he's like, I'm going to buy Back 4 Blood. And I said to him, don't buy Back 4 Blood. He's like, why? I go, it's coming to Game Pass. And he has that DM.
Yeah.
He still has it. And that was back in March.
Do you know what just pinged into my brain? Paradox Interactive. You mentioned it earlier. A few podcasts ago, quite a while ago.
We said they were in talks.
And then, boom, suddenly a bunch of Paradox Interactive games came to Game Pass PC.
Game Pass. And that's why people were like, acquisition. I said, no. I didn't get told acquisition. All they said to me was, in talks. And I speculated. I said, that could be for an acquisition. It could be a Game Pass deal. It could be, who knows what it could be.
It's interesting.
And it turned out to be there was like a whole bunch of Game Pass stuff. Game Pass PC and console.
Yeah. You have a good source.
This is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, sometimes it looks like I'm piggybacking, and sometimes I will also try and avoid that if I can. But it is what it is. But yes, my source There are specific studios I've been told about. At the same time, it is also a general thing. As I said earlier, this is the time of year, end of financial year, start of financial year, when a lot of this stuff gets done. Sony just did 2 or 3. And Sony are looking at a bunch too. It's not like Microsoft. I mean, we know Embracer is trying to buy everyone.
Yeah.
EA just bought one too, didn't they?
No, well, they bought Glue Mobile and
the mobile
Codemasters.
one. They bought the mobile one.
And Codemasters.
This is what I'm saying. It's acquisition season. Like, everyone is doing it. Tencent just got blocked from one, I think.
It's mad.
Didn't they? Yeah. They got blocked from something.
Not sure.
I think they were trying to merge. I don't know. Whatever. This is the time. This is the time that it happens.
This is the time.
Do I know some specific ones? Yes, I have been told some specific ones. Am I allowed to say?
No.
Very annoyingly, no. I would love nothing more. Like, you don't understand. I would love nothing more than to just set the internet on fire and be like, bum, 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 and just start naming. Like, and if I was a bullshit artist that was just trying to get clicks, would I not just do that?
It's interesting.
Would I not just do that?
Yeah, it's interesting as well. A lot of people are like, we've been asked this question, why don't we report the rumor mill as a news article, much like all the other websites do when we've aired a podcast? And it's a very simple reason, is that, as Nick has very publicly said, we're not Jez Corden. He doesn't have a document sitting there that he's got verifiable proof that he can say, here's the thing I've seen, and here it is. It is the rumor mill for a reason. You can be
a rumor mill. It is a mill for rumors.
Yeah,
and it's not the announcement thing. It's not like, it's not the announcement show. It's not like, it is rumors.
Yeah.
Yes, many of them happen to also happen later down the track. I've seen people. I still get DMs about Sekiro. I still get DMs about Sekiro. And I don't know what to say. Like, just have more patience. Look at Hades. Hades took like 5 months from the podcast that we mentioned it. We mentioned it back in January as coming to Xbox and probably launching into Game Pass. And it's happening in August. It was announced in June, so 5 months later.
Yep.
And is coming in August 8 months later.
It's mental. There's a bit of a gap.
Sometimes you just gotta wait, man. Like, I don't always get specific dates. I don't always get specific windows. Everyone seems to think this is some weird exact science. Like I said, Jez has documents. Jez is the one with physical documents. I am not. I have Discord DMs. That's all I've got. I've got Discord DMs and Twitter DMs. And that's it. That's all I got.
Yep.
Okay. Beast Mode 10. Hi, Nick, John, Figments. Well, Figments was meant to be on, but the time was weird for him. I have a very simple question. How does one get to visit an Xbox E3 event? I'm assuming that this event is by invitation only and possibly open to media and some influencers. Am I right in assuming this, or is there a way in for the general public? I've never been to one, but I would love to visit an Xbox E3 event in the future. P.S. Could we at least get one of the British Xbox Game Studios on the show? Hoping when I ask you this question again next time, there are 5 more British Xbox Game Studios, so that you get a broader choice. Wink, wink. This could be a stretch. Could Nick target getting fellow Aussie, the legendary Mick Gordon, on the show? Just planting a seed of the idea in your head so that the next time Nick bumps into him while crossing the street, he'll know what to ask for. Cheers. I doubt Mick Gordon even lives in Australia.
Yeah,
he would definitely be one of the Aussies that lives overseas. I doubt he lives in Australia.
Yeah.
As to the E3 went public, like prior to COVID, E3 went public.
Well,
the public could go.
There's 2 different things. If you're talking specifically about getting into the Microsoft Theatre and being in that show, the 2 methods, to my knowledge, are a media invitation or you win an invite via Microsoft's FanFest initiative, where all the people that are cheering and hollering when they make announcements, they are not the jaded video games journalist media. They are FanFest fans that make all the noise for the most part.
I got invited to E3.
Nice.
Because I was registered with ID at Xbox a few years back.
There you go. So
yeah, I was registered with ID at Xbox, and they sent me an email saying, "Hey, want to go to E3?" I'm like,
I wish.
I do, but
it's a long way away.
Yeah, at the time I was like, that's not going to be possible. And I heard like it'd be cool to go to E3, but at the same time, like I've been to like Australian equivalents of it, and it's not what you think, like at all, because we see it from the perspective of the cameras viewing everything, and we see the shows and the conferences, blah 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 blah. It's not like that when you're there. Like when you're there, it's a lot of walking around and lining up hours upon hours upon hours to play games. That's what it is when you're there. Yeah. It's not what it seems.
It is very much every video game convention. You know, your EGX, Penny Arcade Expo, whatever. Yeah. It's walking around. You get a couple of goes. You go to the next thing. For media, it is you be here at this time. You get to ask these questions.
Yeah.
You maybe get to record some footage. It's
not what people think.
Yeah, it's weird. And from the digital perspective, we did our first E3 this year as XboxEra. We were approved media, and I logged into the E3 app once and didn't bother again. It was the weirdest, pointless, awful thing.
It was a weird site.
It served no purpose, and all of the comms that I had and the team had with publishers and developers was all done via email and other bits and pieces. And for the teams doing all of the hard work of presenting the shows, especially trying to do them, I went to one, and I don't know if there's an NDA that applies, so I'll try and be cagey here, but they, doing the best with what they got. They're not the biggest company in the world, but I went to one where they were doing a live stream with the audio for the live stream footage via YouTube, but to listen to the presenters, you had to be in a Discord channel with like 200 other journalists, and they had them in booked sessions where they had to do the same spiel and get the same people speaking over and over and over again. It's a thankless task for those guys, and it's also not hugely exciting to listen to all the time. So it might be cool to be there for the FanFest stuff from that point of view. Like XO19 was cool to go to from a fan perspective, but conventions, man, germs, lots of germs.
I'm sure if you were sitting in the theater when one of the main conferences is on, I'm sure that would be good if it turns out to be a good one. But then you could also end up watching a guy play the flute.
Yeah, like you never know.
Do you know what I mean? Or you could end up wearing a space poncho.
Yeah, it could go either way.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
British studio. Maybe.
Look, I've been very vocal in my pestering to get the pirate legends themselves on this show. There's a bunch of folks I'd like to get on. I'd like to get folks from Rare, from Playground. There's a ton of we spoke about it earlier in the podcast. All the people we'd love to have from Microsoft and within the industry. These things will come in time. There will be beats that are given where interview opportunities, instead of me begging and pleading, that they are offered instead. But we've got to grow to get to that level where we're considered for that, as opposed to an afterthought. And it's just the nature of the game. It's you've got to respect the hustle somewhat, and we'll do our best.
It's funny. There's a super chat here, but I've actually seen a few chats today talking about this. Tamala Rahul. Shpeshal Nick is Xbox's very own Shia LaBeouf. I've seen other, like, earlier I read a chat that said I look like someone from Redfall.
Maybe.
Like who from Redfall? I get the Shia LaBeouf thing.
The vampire eye guy.
In Discord as well, like that I look like Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf looks like me. I'm older than him. I don't care that he's famous. He looks like me, not I look like him.
Wait, he isn't dead. Shia, surprise. Have you seen that video?
No.
Dude, people in the chat will know, but go Google Rob Cantor Shia LaBeouf. Just go and experience that straight after the show.
Okay.
I'll remind you at the end.
Okay. All right. Next question. Commander Buck. Hi, esteemed panel. First, congrats to you all. XboxEra has been on fire. I'm happy and proud to be a part of this community. So with that said, if you could make anything happen, what would be your dream thing to happen for XboxEra? You don't want to ask me that question. For me, I would love if you guys could get an interview with Sarah, Bond, or Phil. Yeah.
We
get
would
them
too.
on too.
Yeah. Maybe we'll
I'd like to get him on too.
Yeah. Well, I haven't.
You know what I want to happen to XboxEra?
What do you want to happen?
I won't say that because people won't take it in the right way.
tell me afterwards.
I want us to get bought out for like millions and millions of dollars.
That's the real pipe dream.
So that I can retire and don't have to work anymore.
And just play games.
Yeah, and be on podcasts. Yeah. I'd be okay doing that as a full-time job. That'd be a great full-time gig.
Yeah.
Just being on podcasts. That'd be great. That'd be cool. If they can keep me on staff.
Yeah,
like Future kept Jez on staff for Windows Central. Because that's what happened. Isn't that what happened with Windows Central?
Did Future... I didn't know Future owned Windows Central.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Future owns Windows Central. They bought them.
I thought it was an indie gig.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought Future bought Windows Central.
You could be right. I'm going to go and look. But anyway, yeah.
We'll ask Jez. Okay. Not Jack. Do you think Xbox will ever get Final Fantasy XIV? See, there you go. People give it to me for saying, oh, this thing's going to happen and then it doesn't happen. Phil himself said Final Fantasy XIV is going to come to Xbox and it still hasn't happened. So even the head of Xbox leaks stuff that doesn't happen. If it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone.
Yep.
It doesn't look like it, does it? Like Phil said it's going to happen, but that was years ago, and it does not look like it's going to happen.
That would be one of the questions we would ask Phil. No one else asked him.
And I'd also ask him about a 4K UI.
I know you would. You are correct.
Even if they, you know what? Even if they tell me I'm not allowed to, I'm still going to ask about a 4K UI. Even if they say it's not allowed, I'm going to ask.
I know you would.
Because
you're keeping it real, man.
They need a 4K UI. Okay. Last question. The Scarecrow 101. He added one. Actually, these two questions were both just added in the last couple of hours. They must have just got added literally as we started the show.
Fair enough.
Live addition to the questions while you talk. Proof attached below. With the layout for the rest of the year looking good for Xbox/Game Pass and the rather lackluster response to the Sony State of Play, do you see Sony pushing another State of Play before the Game Awards if Horizon is pushed to 2022? I think, already the rumors have started that they're now going to do another thing that's got God of War on it and blah, 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 blah. Because, like I said, the person that told me about God of War, when they saw the State of Play announced and God of War was come on. They went out of their way to say, by the way, God of War's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Clearly, it was going to be there, and it got pulled, which is why they specified. There was the only rumor of God of War being there came from me. So why did they feel the need to specify God of War if there had been no rumors about it being there? I can understand Horizon because they had a dedicated Horizon State of Play, and they announced that as a 2021 game. They've shown gameplay of it. People are waiting for the release date. I can understand why they'd specify Horizon. Why did they go out of their way to specify, by the way, God of War's not going to be there? Clearly it was, and it got pulled. Clearly.
Yeah.
And now it'll probably be... And my source was shocked, and they said, it's done. The trailer's done. It's finished. It's recorded. It's ready. It's sitting there waiting. So clearly they're just going to make it its own thing.
Why not?
And do it on its own.
They have enough clout and brand power to do so. I still find it... I don't know. I want to use the correct word here because distasteful isn't the one. I find it. No, I can't think of a better word. It's kind of distasteful. The way they presented the PlayStation 5 before launch and intimated to their user base that this game is exclusive and that game's coming this year and this game's coming this year. And then turns out they all weren't. And, even just showing the Ragnarok thing and just a title card, but then saying 2021... They knew when they showed that card it weren't going to be 2021.
No. I think
the mid-pandemic. Come on.
No. Okay, so when I was told about God of War, it was like June last year. They said to me, God of War. They asked me, they're like, "Are you a God of War fan?" And I'm like, "I have been a God of War fan since 2005, since the first one." And again, there's a little bit of bias there. I'm Greek. It's Greek mythology. I just love God of War. They said it's their early 2022 game. That was June last year. Now, that same source did say to me later on that ideally they would like it to be 2021. They are going to do everything in their power to get it into 2021. But I would argue that that's probably not happening because we're now in July and we haven't seen the game. We haven't heard anything since that title card.
Yeah, not a sausage.
So,
hey,
yeah,
Alana Pierce works for the God of War devs now. Sony Santa Monica. She's stuck in Australia. I saw on a YouTube channel the other day.
She's stuck in Australia.
Maybe she can come on talk Xbox for a bit. I know she's a big Game Pass fan anyway. So
yeah,
be cool.
I think Sony will do other stuff. Ultimately, that's the question. The question is, do you think they'll do something else? I think, they will. Of course they will. They show a logo and get tons of engagement. Like, why wouldn't they? Of course they will.
I was just watching the chat.
So,
the Sony fanboy getting banned from the chat. Hate watching a show. Like, I've never understood it. I don't go on other people's shows and sit there going,
he's been there
I hate you so much.
Time.
I know Jesse's been watching him, just waiting for him to do something moderately interesting, but he didn't. And I just literally typed "imagine hate watching our show," and Kritowski, I'm not calling you out, but you put "I can imagine," and you put a winky kind of face there, little tongue poking out, because I know we've had a little bit of back and forth because you've not always agreed with some of our possibly hot takes every now and then. So I appreciate the. Yes. I appreciate the.
Isn't Kritopsy the one that's called me and us morons a lot in the early episodes?
Occasionally, some harsh words were used. It's the internet. It's fine behind the anonymous keyboards. It's okay. But yeah.
Did you just get that tag from Rand in the Discord?
Yes, I did. I haven't seen it. What's he tagging us with? Is he telling us off for talking about friends?
No. We just got a tag from Rand, so he's obviously still watching. But yeah, that's it. That was the last community question.
Cool.
So
considering it was just the two of us, we managed to keep it going for a good 2 hours and 20 minutes. So
a few tangents, and then we started talking about friends.
There's been some banter.
What would we call a friends podcast? I want to call, what would it be? You can't call it the Pivot podcast. You could call it the Pivot, and you have to spell it.
No.
Pivaaaht. Pivot podcast. I reckon.
I don't know. It's 2021. It's over, bro. It's over. It's
Central Perk podcast.
No, it's probably already out there. It's probably already out there.
You reckon?
Yeah, there's probably a Central Perk podcast.
I feel like if there was a big Friends podcast out there, I would have heard about
it. Oh man, perks with XboxEra. Perks, just perks. It'd be like
Central Perk, or the. We'll think of a name.
Well, we will.
The how you doing podcast.
No, someone stop him.
No, I want to do a Friends podcast now. That'd be so good.
Oh God!
And each week, like, how many episodes of Friends was there?
Well, it was syndicated, so over 100, 24 episodes a season, 10 seasons. Do the math.
There's roughly at least 20 episodes per season.
Yep.
At 10 seasons.
Yep.
My maths is bad.
200.
200 episodes.
So that's 200 podcast episodes if you focus on an episode of podcast.
If you do an episode, if you do an episode per podcast, that's a 200 episode run.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll do a deal with you. All right. Maybe Christmas time, we'll get the community to do a live quiz and see who knows Friends the best between you and I.
I would smash that quiz.
You reckon? Come on, I've got a pretty good memory.
In that quiz, I would absolutely.
I've got a pretty good memory.
Demolish you in that quiz.
All right, let's test it. Who's Regina Phalange?
Regina Phalange, that's bloody Phoebe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Phoebe's stupid character. She says that word too much.
All right.
Like Phoebe's my most hated character. And it's for those reasons, because she overdoes stuff like that. Like Regina Phalange, where I think Ken Adams...
Oh, I was about to ask you who Ken Adams was.
So much better. The Ken Adams thing was so much better. And he had the sex story. And then Jennifer Aniston was like, how do you know about that story? And then she's like, how do you know about that story? It's like, my friend told me, like, a guy told her that story.
Yeah, it's a very funny episode.
Like, yeah, that's my story. And she's like, no, the guy's name was Ken Adams. And then Joey's like,
Ken Adams.
Ken Adams.
Yeah. Okay.
That's so good.
Where did they go in the sex story? Where did he go hiking?
The foothills of Mount Tibidabo.
Okay, you're good. All right, I gotta give it to you.
Mate, you don't understand.
I
would smash.
I think it would be an interesting challenge. There you go, community. Just for lols. I'm putting a stop to the Friends talk now. I look forward to seeing the Friends OT anytime now. Before we go, some important shout outs. First of all, if you haven't watched it yet, please do tune in to Flew the Coop. It's a new co-op focused show with Blast the Bass as he pulls in a variety of XboxEra stuff. Wait, what?
Dr. Dinglenut just gave us the best name for a podcast, a Friends podcast.
I can't stop him, guys.
Name ever. Listen to this name. The one where Nick and John do a podcast.
Oh God, yeah, that is pretty on brand. I got to give it to him.
That is brilliant.
Well played.
How good is that?
Well played.
Oh, that is so happening now.
We'll do it for Christmas lols or something.
So happening now.
Right.
That is so good.
So the other shout out I need to give, if people haven't seen it yet, Don Cabesa, aka Jesse, who is one of our sort of lead reviewers. In fact, he's reviews editor. I should probably use that phrase more often. He has also been taking advantage of his early rising to do a much earlier Coffee with Cabesa stream that launched, keep me honest here, Jesse, earlier last week or earlier this week, something like that.
We just did one for Rocket League.
And it's jolly good fun. You should tune in. It's good fun times for everybody. So lots of extra content appearing on XboxEra lately, and we have got a plethora of reviews in progress at the moment. I would expect probably in reviews alone, video-wise, this month, I think we're going to be hitting double figures, which is a lot. There's a lot going on for a small team. So make sure you stick around. If you're not subscribed and you're watching us right now, click subscribe.
The Switch OLED was announced while we were playing Rocket League, so we started talking about the Switch OLED during the show.
Probably an entertaining episode then, for sure. Yeah, but yeah, so there's lots going on. We'll be back next week with a pre-recorded episode, and we'll be bringing along, I think, One Bad Mother. who, if you haven't just seen on Game On Daily, he should be joining us next week with any luck for some chit-chat and probably, hopefully, some news from the week that might be related to acquisitions. Hopefully. We don't know. It's acquisition season. And that's got to be
hashtag acquisition season.
I have a feeling we're going to have a fight now about the name of this episode, whether it is going to be hashtag acquisition season. Or whether it's going to be...
We need that hashtag to trend.
To propagate.
Jeff Grubb got Holsting trending.
Wow.
Did you see that?
No. Nope.
Oh, that's what we forgot to talk about. Did you see Sony put the PS5 upside down again?
Yeah, we did forget to talk about it. What on earth?
Twice now.
One was the head of their studio.
Herman Hulst. That's why it's called hashtag Hulsting. Like, it's about putting
Hulsting
a PS5 upside down.
Amazing.
Like, and this is the thing, people, and this is what I'm saying. Like, you know what? You can love the PlayStation 5 as much as you want. That is your right to love the PlayStation 5 as much as you like. But Sony have now ended the debate themselves. It is a terribly designed console. They don't even know which way to put it.
Yeah.
That means it is an objectively terribly designed console when the makers of it don't know which way it goes.
Yeah.
Like, what more of an endorsement do you need for how horrible of a design it is? Love it all you want. Like, I have admitted many times that I love things that are probably not great. Like, you can be objective enough to know that something you like is probably not that good, but you like it anyway.
Yep.
It is what it is. But if
had an Xbox
Sony
One
themselves, if the company that makes a product does not know which way that product goes, probably not the best designed product going around.
Yeah, I mean,
like, imagine if BMW made a car and, like, someone that worked for BMW is like, how do you drive this thing? Probably not the best endorsement for that car. Just saying.
And look, if you're losing a Rosetta or a poll on which console has the best design,
even on the unofficial PlayStation forum, it loses polls to the Series X for looks. Like,
come on, now.
Like, at what point are people just going to admit that they
dropped the ball with the design?
I put out a tweet. I fully reckon they must have done it on purpose. I reckon they made it butt ugly on purpose, knowing it was going to sell out because of how desperate people are for a new PlayStation, knowing full well it would sell out. They wouldn't be able to keep up with demand. And then they're like, cool, what we'll do is we'll then make the good-looking slim one, knowing everyone is going to replace their old but ugly giant
That's a very cynical viewpoint.
With the pretty slim one, and we instantly double our sales.
I just
instantly double our sales.
I just went on the idea that they were not as far ahead as everyone thought, and that's why they showed it so late, is because they were cramming in and making last minute changes. You know, the whole GitHub thing, and it's
comfortably the ugliest PlayStation that has ever existed.
Yeah,
like, so it's like objectively the ugliest PlayStation.
No lies detected.
I'm stopping short of saying console because there's been some pretty ugly consoles over the years, like going right back.
Yeah.
So I'm stopping short of saying the ugliest console ever made. It's definitely up there. But it is objectively the ugliest PlayStation in history.
I was just scanning the chat and I just saw Reign of the Third Eye. Sometimes I look at my PS5 and I just shake my head.
Oh, man. And it's funny, I've seen comments on Twitter from so many people and everyone has the same experience. They're like, oh, yeah, every time my wife walks in the room, she looks at it and she's like, what is that thing? And it's like, yeah, man, like that actually happens. Like, people that aren't into games and all that, they walk in and they look at it and they're like, the hell is that? Like, what is that?
What is that? You reminding me of that Gordon Ramsay cartoons. What is that? It's raw.
Like, it's just...
Anyway, look.
What were they thinking?
I know. We've hit 2 hours, 30 minutes. You're doing the timestamps for this one, bro. There's so many tangents. I'll let you do it. I can wake up tomorrow and they're done. But thank you to everybody in the chat for sticking around, being so cool and being so chit-chatty. It has been a blast. Appreciate all the super chats, all the love. We'll be back next Saturday. Until then, there's plenty coming this week from XboxEra, so stick around. Feel free to join the forums if you're not. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Ciao for now.
Adios.